Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. Get that set back up there. Excuse me. Thursday, September the 14th, 2023. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could join us here today. You're here live on the YouTube channel. Or, if you're listening to us on the RSS feeds, either way, thank you very much. Glad you could be with us this week. And once again, just as a gentle reminder, since we don't, since the way that YouTube puts these videos out, you either have to basically do an edit of them, and then repost the whole video out of the live feed into the main feed, and then disable the live feed VOD, and then you got two of the. Just know that if you're somebody that ever wants to watch this on YouTube, when it's not live or live, either way, on any YouTube channel that has a podcast, odds are, if you're on the channel page, you'll see a tab that says podcast. That's where this sits, on that tab. A lot of people were like, "Man, I haven't seen the podcast in a while. I thought you stopped posting them on YouTube." Which is a testament to YouTube's ability to actually post videos the way that they're supposed to be posted. They set up a whole podcast thing, and then they have the live stream version of it be a bit of a hot mess for actually sending stuff out the same that people would get in their regular feed. So that is just a reminder for that if you were confused about that for whatever reason. We got a great show lined up for you today, as always, of course, but before we jump right into that, the most important question of the week needs to be asked, and that is, of course, Mr. Black, how was your week?
How was my week? What did I do?
This is the first full week, I guess, for Kai, technically speaking, or how many days a week is he in?
It'll be a week today, actually.
Yeah. So is he in every day, or is it every couple of days? Is it a 3-day a week thing?
No, he's in Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, he's sick, so he got sick the first 2
immediately.
days. Yeah, he was sick. I was even feeling a bit run down for about 3 days, but I didn't have I sneezed a little bit, but I didn't have runny nose, or I had a little bit of not a sore throat, but that tingle. I was like, uh-oh. Could be going there.
The pre sore throat extravaganza. Yes,
correct. I had that, and then it went away, and then it came back, then it went away. So,
all right.
I feel fine now. Kayla's not sick at all. Yeah. And Kai he's still a little sick, but he's kind of getting over it now. So it's kind of, I would say within the next 2 days he'll be totally fine. But he's having fun. He's enjoying school. He looks forward to it every day. When he was sick, we kept him home on Monday because he was in rough shape. And that's just they basically say at school that if they don't have a fever and they just got a cold, send them to school. But even we were that's
a weird policy. When we were growing up, if I was sick, I mean, mom's gonna look at me and be like,
yeah,
nah.
So he was in semi-rough shape on Monday, so we were like, nah, bro, you're staying home, man. And he was upset because he wanted to go to school, but...
that's a good sign. Now. I mean, the fact that he was upset that he didn't get a chance to go to school, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, he forgot about it real quick, once he started, sitting on the Switch and watching TV and stuff, but he was definitely excited
Pokemon.
to get back, so... overall, it's been a good week.
Awesome.
Kayla was working a little bit, Kai's in school... and I've just been doing what I normally do, so it's just been another week.
The first of many weeks where the dynamic has changed for sure in the Johnston household. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear everything is going well in that regard. And no other there was no other mishaps where the teacher had to tell him to get over himself. No more of those. None yet.
Of that. No, not that, not yet. He's got a bunch of stuff coming up. Today, I guess they took the kids to the gym. He never seen a gym before. We did a little tour,
the gymnasium,
a gymnasium. Right?
Yeah,
so we thought that was cool. And they had plastic go-karts, so they were just beaming around the gym on go-karts. And then I think he's got show and tell. I think tomorrow. So basically, all the kids got to bring a toy in, and then they got to share all the toys.
Talk about it or whatever.
Yeah, talk about it and play, share with everybody. So he's doing that. He's looking forward to that. So they do like little things that, he's liking. And
I gotta back this up. This man, you said go-karts?
Go-karts.
Now, obviously not. I mean, I understand when you're saying go-karts. It's not the fucking engine-powered go-kart.
No. They're like little plastic ones.
Little push ones.
I think they might have had pedals. You know what I mean?
So,
Like the pedal
okay. Because so I mean, he's already way better off than we were when we were in school. Because we had go-karts for us in school were those like little plastic boards that had 4 wheels at the bottom, and you'd sit on those, or they'd have you lay down on them, but only like the top third of your chest could fit. So you had to have the core strength of a fucking god to hold yourself up while you like ran around. And then they had to they got rid of those because they were too dangerous.
They're dangerous. Like people busting their heads and shit. Yeah. So he had the better go-kart. So he's already got it better.
Yeah, it's true. I wish we could have seen what go-karts would have been like for us. Well, here's a question. I wonder if I haven't asked. You know who would know? I'll ask him. If I remember, I'll ask him because we're having a family get together here. My cousin and her husband and their baby are coming from out west to visit, and so we'll be having a little family like birthday party get together thing, and I'll ask Ben because he's a phys ed teacher, right? It's cool. I'll ask Ben. I'll ask him if dodgeball is allowed anymore. If they brought it back, because for a while it was like 0 dodgeball. Then it was like a modification of dodgeball, and now I don't know if they allow it anymore. Like I don't know where we're at in the everyone gets an award category. Like I don't know just how crazy that is. And so I'll have to ask him just what that's like. Cause gym, I gotta be honest, Ben. I feel like in gym, if your kid's not getting fucked up a little bit, it's not gym.
That's true.
If you're not going into a gym and the teacher pulls out the fucking rope that goes to the ceiling and if you don't look up at that as a kid and realize there's a chance that you're gonna die if you climb very high, is that even gym anymore? I mean, you just get the mats out and like fucking maybe you break an arm or something, like whatever the fuck. But now it's like you get into gym and it's like, what can we do? Run laps and fucking play like bean sacks and shit? Like what? It's just terrible. It's not nearly as fun. But you know what? I look forward to his first experience if he's got a good gym teacher. I bet you they still do the fucking parachute shit where you you pull everyone's in a circle around the big parachute and you sit down on it
and you sit it inside and
it's like a tent thing.
Dome. Yeah.
As a kid, that shit fucking just gets you, dude. Everyone was jacked when the parachute came out.
I do remember that. Remember that.
That shit was fire. So, and then you I don't know if you guys did too, where the parachute, the other thing that you do with the parachute, you have like a bunch of balls that you throw in the middle of it and you'd try to get them into the middle. You think? Yeah.
I did all that shit, bro. I think all the schools do that.
They better still do that because that shit was that was the jam. And nobody could die. That was an easy one. There was no dismemberment with them when the parachute came out. Anyway, yeah, so that's good. Well, that's wonderful to hear. My week, I've literally slaved into Baldur's Gate 3 the entire week. I don't even know what day it is anymore. I've been waking up and then just 10 plus hours of Baldur's Gate on a daily basis, and it's done. I finished it before the podcast today. Last night, I was hoping to get it done last night, and I was right up towards the end, and I asked the chat, I was like, how much time are we talking about here? Because do I want to do it now or do I want to do it tomorrow? I had to get up to take Em to work, and it was like 11:30 at that point, and the chat was like probably like 3 hours. I was like,
oh fuck that!
I can't. So I had to wait. So I did it before the podcast. It is done. It has been completed. I would say the playthrough is roughly 140 hours. In that neck of the woods. It's a long-ass game, but you know what? It's a really fucking well-made video game. And even though it's not my jam, that style of game is not necessarily my favorite thing in the world, I can honestly say I don't remember the last time that I played a game that was that well-made at that scale. So the quantity of the game, fucking massive. The amount of times you could play this game and get different outcomes at different points is truly a bit of a mind fuck. I mean, the amount of that they put in there is crazy. You can play it with friends as well, like a regular D&D session. So you like 4-man it or whatever the fuck, and you can literally like go through this whole thing like a campaign, which is another dynamic entirely. People can take turns being the one talking to NPCs and shit. There's a lot of fucking shit in this game, and all of it is good. There's very little anything bad at all. I can't even really think of much. There's a couple of small little nitpicks, and 150 hours of fucking gameplay is nuts. And so yeah, I have to give them their flowers. Larian really crushed it. And if this thing gets beat by fucking goddamn Tears of the Kingdom for Game of the Year, this industry is fucking dead to me. Dead. Because there's no way you can't, like, all you could do is say, well, I like Legend of Zelda. That is the only thing that you could possibly do to, like, put that game up against Baldur's Gate 3. Because in every other, like, comparative aspect of the quality of a video game, Baldur's Gate 3 shits mercilessly on basically every other game made this year. So we'll wait and see how it plays out. But, nevertheless, that was my entire week. Baldur's Gate. I did some other, I did errands and shit, nothing exciting. That was basically it. Woke up, played me some Baldur's Gate, now it's done. Which means I get to move on to Starfield next. From one short game to another short game. And so we'll be jumping into Starfield, and then I'll be able to give my thoughts on that, because that's a far more divisive game. Pretty much everyone that plays Baldur's Gate's like, yeah, that's a fucking good video game. Not so much with Starfield, so I look forward to playing that. And now it's time to talk about some video games, Mr. Black. I know you're so excited! Woo!
Let's do it!
It's time! Remember Embracer Group, Mr. Black? We talked about the business side of games many times here. Embracer Group was one of the early major conglomerates, holdings companies that's, back when they, like Tencent as another example of a holdings company that when the industry started to consolidate, where these major companies were buying up like fucking studios left, right, and center. Embracer Group was one of those. Coming out of Sweden. And one of the bigger ones up front, and Tencent kind of overshadowed it eventually, but they were buying up companies or developers and whatnot left, right, and center. And everyone thought, they were like, well, shit, they got to be doing pretty well for themselves. I mean, my God, they've spent a ton of money, and they bought some really good, publishers and developers that have some good ass games. It doesn't seem like that's the case, unfortunately. So, other than some reports that we were starting to get whispers of from credible, sources, that internally Embracer was a little shaky. They weren't on solid ground. Well, not long after that, we now have discovered that they are looking to sell Gearbox Studio, which is of course, the makers of Borderlands. Primarily these days, but the only thing they fucking make. Borderlands and Borderlands offshoots. But this is just 2.5 years after Embracer Group bought them for $1.3 billion. It was one of the major purchases that had been made in the industry at the time, especially for a studio like Gearbox that's almost a one-trick pony. It's basically Borderlands. And so $1.3 billion was a big buy. And not even 3 years later, here's Embracer Group trying to find a buyer. Which can't really be a good sign for the Embracer Group and lends some credibility to all of the discussions around the whispers that internally at Embracer things are not going so hot. And so beyond that, we do know that, and this is according to Bloomberg, so this would be coming from, what's his name, Schreier. Gearbox is also looking at the option of splitting off on their own and going independent. So Gearbox is aware, obviously, that Embracer is looking for a seller, and since that is happening, Gearbox is apparently internally thinking, well, why don't we, kind of similar to like a Bungie situation, why don't we just kind of buy our way out and become independent and do our own thing, kind of a situation. And so we'll wait and see if they do that. I don't know if Gearbox should do that. I don't know if you should try to really run on nothing but Borderlands and try to be an independent studio. You might want to get bought by somebody else to get more support, but nevertheless, we'll have to wait and see. However, it is intriguing that Embracer Group is one of these kind of major holdings companies. They're not invincible. And to a certain degree, it's kind of a scary thing for developers because we're in a time where a lot of companies, not just Sony and Microsoft, but these third-party companies and holdings companies are buying up studios and then they're shutting them down. They're operating like more or less perfectly fine. Then they get bought up and then they get shut down. And so it's a scary thing for obviously older brands and older developers have been around for a while. But then also, obviously, it creates a lot of what's the word I'm looking for here? Oh my God! It destabilizes like the labor market too. So you end up in a situation where a lot of these are getting bought up, and developers obviously are they go with them, and then they get shut down, and then you get a bunch of people out of work. And we've talked many times on the podcast in the last couple of years of developers being shut down, and then it displaces a bunch of people. And so with these now in these situations, it's just a bit of a grenade into the room, so to speak. But we'll wait and see what Embracer or what comes from Embracer here in the coming months and what comes out of this deal with Gearbox. But nevertheless, it is interesting, especially since we also heard, not that we talked about it on the podcast, but Tencent's also not crushing it right now. Tencent's got a lot of business, but they're not crushing it. And they've been having some of their own problems, and so a very intriguing time indeed. And obviously part of why a lot of people that pay attention to any of this shit, if there are people that play games, lots of people don't even know any of this is fucking happening. They just buy the games. But for a lot of people that are online and keeping track of this, well, many people are against consolidation because it seems to lead to this kind of a situation.
Well, the thing is the reason why they might be selling this is because Borderlands has a movie coming out. This thing is getting released, I think, next year. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure they're done filming, or they're getting close to being done. I know like Kevin Hart's in it, Jack Black's in it, Jamie Lee Curtis. There's a whole bunch of people in here, so they might be just looking to sell the rights to all this stuff because they feel like they could actually profit money off it, and just get rid of that and keep some of the stuff that they currently have. I don't know, maybe that's part of it, maybe it's not, but I'm pretty sure that there's talks that they want to make this Borderlands thing like a franchise, like, so who knows? Like
outside of gaming, you mean?
Outside of gaming,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, so, they have talked about that for sure. Borderlands was like one of those properties where they were saying, why not do big and small screen stuff with this intellectual property?
Well, they might be valuing that on this. If they say, "Hey, listen, we've made this film, or this film is about to be made. Who wants to buy? Who wants to own this franchise, right? Who knows where it goes?" I mean, maybe it's
a situation where they would be looking to sell them, anyway, or they're looking at things that they can sell, and maybe they're hoping that like it's a combination of the two. Maybe it's they need to sell them, but they're also going to bank on the fact that the movie's not out yet, and so the sale is on the presumption that the movie does well, and that the property of Borderlands is worth money outside of just gaming.
Yeah,
which will probably be largely determined by the success or failure of the movie. And so it's one of those things where I guess maybe internally they're thinking, do we wait to sell this until after the movie comes out? Do we gamble on the movie being successful enough that it will guaranteed increase the value of the company? Or do we try to sell the presumed success of this film and try to get, more value out of it that way? I don't know what the answer is to that, but I agree. It would definitely be a good reason for them to make a move to try and get more money out of them, because they did buy them for $1.3 billion, which it's
a lot.
That was a lot of money. And everyone at the time, everyone was like, what the fuck? the fuck? 1.3 billion? It's not like Gearbox was like cranking out like mobile games and shit that were like getting guaranteed revenue all the time. You know, these are games that are selling okay, but they're not exactly pushing huge numbers. So yeah, we'll wait and see. We'll definitely hear more about this relatively soon, 100%. If this kind of information's coming through and coming out of Bloomberg, it means that Jason has got more on tap. He's just waiting for the time, and so we'll get more information on that relatively soon. The big news this week is around Unity, the engine Unity. Everyone's favorite, hideously fucking optimized engine that everyone that didn't have money to chase after Unreal for a long time used. It was a relatively friendly, or it is a relatively friendly, I'm talking about in the past tense, don't need to do that, but a relatively friendly engine to build in. Lots and lots of games built on Unity. Fucking buckets of games built on Unity. So the big news about this that has been floating around and is an active piece of news, meaning that it's been changing as time has gone on here in the last 48, 72 hours in that neck of the woods. Unity announced earlier this week that they would be making substantial changes to its pricing structure for developers that would go into effect January of 2024, so just in a few months from now. Essentially, how this would work, Mr. Black, depending on your Unity subscription level as a dev, and I'm just using like generalized terms so that it's easier to follow, so subscription level, past a certain revenue threshold, so for example, $200,000 in revenue in the last year for personal and plus levels, and or a certain install threshold for, so just sheer number of installs, so 200,000 installs on the low end of the subscriptions, 1 million on the high is the upper limit for that. You start paying money for each install after you've hit those benchmarks. This is what they announced originally. They're just like, for each install above this, once you hit these thresholds, depending on the tier that you're at, you're going to start paying for each individual install. This included, at the time when they first released this, it was written in such a way that it included uninstall and reinstalls by the same user, which was a wild fucking concept, because the assumption there was maybe they're on different hardware, and not just they cleared some hard drive space for a while and then reinstalled the game later, or something along those lines. It also included some other shit scenarios. I won't go into crazy depth on them all, but they were pretty much all dire at the time when they first announced this. It was a terrible release that they put out. This is as high as 20 cents per install for the lowest tiers, and 1 cent per install on the higher tiers. So the lower down the tier list you were in terms of your subscription, which would, unironically be the deeper into the indie pool that you're digging, typically speaking, the more money you would pay per install once you hit above those amounts. As you can imagine, for some games, especially indie games that like really can take off, and you never know when an indie game is gonna fucking just explode. Like think of like Vampire Survivor, for example, like a game that literally cost you'd buy it for like 4 cents on Steam, and at one point it seemed like everyone in the gaming community was playing the shit out of Vampire Survivor, and I don't think the guy that made it was sitting there going, yeah, I'm making the next certified banger. Like that was not passing through his mind. So you never know when that shit's gonna happen. So this was a very obviously, for a lot of indie devs, a scary proposition. When are we gonna suddenly get nailed with an expensive install base? Obviously, just about every dev immediately went ballistic on social media, big and small. This was not just indie devs. A lot of major developers also use Unity. And of course, Unreal Engine took the opportunity to remind everyone on social media that they definitely do not do this. The main social media account for Unreal came out and were like, hey! Over here, we don't fuck you in the butthole like they do, just a reminder. And so they did their song and dance on social media as well. In many instances, there were cases in which active games with Unity would end up forcing a dev to send more money than the game had earned, which is a bit of a problem. So there were examples in which, based on if developers were coming out and saying, if this had been instated before I made my game, and I put the game out, based on install base and revenue earned, I would have literally had to have paid Unity more money than the game was actually, that the game had generated. Because, of course, they're freemium games, right? $0 to install, but you have in-game purchases. And so there were some games that were set up like that, in which the install base would have cleared their requirements that they outlined here, but then the money that they made per user on a per user basis would have been lower than the 20 cent
20%,
less
than 20 cents
on average. Yeah. And because lots of people, especially for smaller games that are freemium games, a lot of people just, I mean, you know what the conversion rate is roughly on people spending money on microtransactions. It's less than 2%. It's like fucking one, like they're chasing, like literally chasing a tiny percentage, which is why you need to why free is important, because you need to canvas a massive fucking area to be able to hit it. And when you hit it big, I mean, obviously there are standouts like Genshin Impact or shit like that, where it's a different animal. But yeah, nevertheless, there were scenarios put out by many devs to outline this, that it would either erase their revenue entirely or actually be a scenario in which they'd owe more money than they had made from the game. Now, with that being said, generally speaking, the entire structure is poorly thought out and rushed when they first announced this. Even the release was... You could tell that this was not something that was 100% thought through in terms of how they were announcing this information. It was a bit of a fucking rush. Didn't make a lot of sense. There were a lot of questions that were unanswered, like what about games that are released for charity bundles and things? Are you going to charge charity bundles as well? Because they're being given up for free for the purpose of charity, to be included in things like Humble Bundle and things of that nature. You know, you never outlined anything about that. Are you just going to start charging people for installs for those kind of things? There's a lot of unanswered questions. And so, obviously, after many hours of the developer sphere on social media shitting themselves, the Unity came out and did the old, oh, there's misunderstanding, and we're going to claw this back, and we're going to claw that back, and thank you for your input, and blah, which really was just kind of like, it seemed like Mr. Black, the old classic, give them the worst possible scenario. Cataclysmic. Shit that doesn't even make sense. And then after they all go crazy, hey.
Reel it back.
We hear you. We understand. And so, we're going to reel it back a bit. We're going to give you a better deal. And then it's still it's a terrible fucking deal. But then the banking on the whole, oh, well, they at least walked it back. This is way better than it was before. Unfortunately, the stuff that they came out and said still wasn't all that great. So, but it's up to the developers to ultimately decide whether or not they're okay with this. Obviously. And so with that being said, Unity would eventually, like I said, come out and change this stuff. But a lot of devs said, nah. You already fucked up. You showed your hand. It's a classic show your hand situation. Some people, they only need to be shown the hand once and then they're done. So the developers of Rust, for example, which is not a small game. Rust is a pretty big game, especially for the indie-ish developer side. If you can even call them indie at this point, the game is big enough. They said, Rust 2, officially, go fuck yourself. We're taking it off of Unity. We're going to go build it on another platform entirely. And
But they can't be doing that because they're personally upset. I mean, they must be doing that. I mean, sure they can, but like Rust can't afford to spend 1 cent per install. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Well, the idea is that there's not a lot of like restrictions in place. So, for example, I'll let you say that there are other. I'll let you say your thing because we're getting to some other bits. But yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, you know, it feels like Rust might be just doing that to stand up for the little guy, because at the end of the day, Rust paying one cent per install isn't killing them. It's not even a dent in what they do. So, and not only that, you can obviously write off all of your costs towards any profits that are made anyway. So, like, you know.
Oh, I don't think they're doing it because they're going to go under. I think they're doing it because they don't like that. They don't like the way that they came out and presented it. They don't like that they were rug pulling, and I would also assume, in the grand scheme of things, perhaps if you have two options before you, you have an option in which you're going to pay per install, and then you have another option in which you are not going to pay per install. Many people, especially games that are at higher scales, are probably going to just not want to pay per install.
So what are the costs associated? You know what I mean? Like, are you going to have to spend more money for developers that can use Unreal Engine? Is it much more expensive to develop said game? What are the subscription bases like? What are the other, there's got to be, I don't know enough about this, so I'm kind of just speaking out loud.
Yeah.
I got to ask myself, okay, well, if I'm a developer, if I got to spend an extra, if you're a big time developer and you're spending 1 cent, like, you're obviously not going to have the lowest tier subscription, right? Like, if you're any type of real developer that, I think this 20 cents per install is probably for like the shit tier. Hey, you're probably paying like fucking next to nothing a month, and they're recouping money for the installs, and chances are that the install won't be that high, so the cost won't be that high. And then also, what is the protocol? If a game takes off, can't you just upgrade your subscription so that now it's only 1 cent instead of 20 cents? You know what I mean? So, like, if your game blows up, like what you said in the beginning, like, oh, if this game just kind of takes off, it's like, okay, well, let me just upgrade my subscription, which might cost me an extra, I don't know what the subscription prices are. They're probably pretty expensive, I would imagine, if you're a developer. It's probably not like $10.99 a month or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's probably in the thousands of dollars that you're paying per year, or maybe it's even tens of thousands. I don't know. But at the end of the day, couldn't you just upgrade your subscription? And it's just like, it's 1 cent per install. I don't think it's doomsday, but I'm also not a developer. So yeah. I'm ignorant when I speak about it. It just doesn't seem, I don't know. You know how people get, man.
Yeah.
They blow,
well, yeah.
Obviously Unity wants to make money.
Yeah.
People can go to Unreal if they want. I mean, the option is there, but it's like, what's that going to cost? Who knows? Maybe they see something there. Maybe they're like, hey, we're way too cheap for what we provide, and we need to make more money, because over there, they might be charging. I guarantee you the Unreal Engine is more expensive than Unity. I can almost guarantee it.
Well, I know, for example, that there are, to my knowledge, and Chad could correct me, but I'm pretty confident in this, that Unreal does not touch your revenue until you've gone north of $1 million.
Okay.
So only once you've gone north of $1 million does anything actually kick in to any degree, and it's not a per install. It is a some other. They updated this like last. We talked about it on the podcast. I can't remember the very specifics. All I know is that from an indie development standpoint, a lot of people were very excited. That's all I remember about it, because they basically reduced everything down to like very minimal
$1 million. Yeah, like
a very minimal percent.
If you're an indie developer and you're not selling $1 million worth of games, you basically get to use their stuff for free. So if they're not going to, I mean, you might have to pay a subscription base. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I would imagine you would. I mean, they're not just going to give this shit out like for free.
Yeah, I don't know what like the monthly associated costs are, but from a revenue perspective, they made big changes that a lot of people were very excited about.
Yeah, it's hard to debate what is a good deal and what isn't when I don't have the numbers and the intricacies of each side. Yeah. Because one side, you know what it sounds like, and I could be wrong. Once again, I'm ignorant because I don't know. I don't follow this stuff. But what it sounds like is, hey, you've got a mom and pop shop down the road that makes fresh subs. Remember when I used to live out in Dartmouth and we used to go to that sub place down the road, and they would have the deli. They would have like fresh, like they'd cake you with fucking meats, and it was like, but then there was Subway, right? And Subway was Subway. But like, you would go down to this local place, which I'm gonna call Unity, right? You go down to Unity, and it's very friendly for the non-big. You want to just go grab a sub, you get it, and you get your money's worth and some, You're like, man, shit, these are so big. I might eat half now and then half for supper. It's that big. But then you've got Subway over there that like is like a more known chain. There's more of them around. It's popular. You know, Unreal Engine pops more than Unity. If you're in the gaming sphere, you probably know what Unity is. But like if you're just a casual, you probably have heard of Unreal Engine. Like, you know, just from whatever. So you go over there and you get Subway, and Subway does their thing. You know you're getting your cookies, you're getting your drink, you're getting that, and it's going to cost you fucking $15. But you go down to the deli, and that shit's costing you $6.99, and you're getting fresher meats. Shit just shaved right off the bitch. It's a good experience, and it's almost like it's like this kind of quiet, nobody really knows about it, but like it's the people who know, and you go there and you eat. And then all of a sudden, the deli goes, hey, we've been giving you guys a lot of meats, all right? But what we're going to do is for each slice of meat that you get, we're going to charge you an extra 10 cents, right? So now when you get the sub, instead of it costing $6.99, now it costs $9.99. But Subway still costs $15, and it's fucking Subway, right? Everybody, it is what it is. So then you've got the people there that, like, you know, have been enjoying the benefits of this, like, hole-in-the-wall spot that nobody really knows about, that is like untapped. And because of the economic times, these mom and pops, the interest rates are going up, all this stuff. This is these analogies work for these businesses. Like we're not the only ones that suffer from rough economies.
Of course.
It's just the way that it is. So they come out and they go, okay, well, how in the hell can we make more money? If we raise our subscription base, now we might be more comparable to the Subway, but we're not Subway. So why would they pick us over Subway when they have all the marketing and you know, Jared is in jail for being a pedophile, and they've, you know, everything's clean over there at Subway. Right? You know, they had their rough time. Now everything's going. I don't know why I just said Jared and pedophile. I just thought I'd throw something in there to lighten the mood up a little bit, even though it's not really that light.
And there goes the monetization.
What?
The 5 cents.
Who cares? But like, then they go, okay, well, let's go ahead and we can't raise the subscription because we're just not in a position. Because then, for example, if you had to choose between the same price, some people might just go to Subway just because it's the familiar thing, and you get more options, right? It's whatever. Well, they go, okay, well, let's figure out a way that we can bump up some revenue without like killing these guys. And then the moment that they decide to announce, which I'm not defending on how they announce it. Most of these corporations they're all fucking bad at this. I mean, how many times have you seen an announcement from a company that wants more money and it goes well? It just doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't, period. I mean, they could have came out and said, hey, we're going to charge this, but now we've got this amazing new feature, and people would be like, the pitchforks, suck a dick. I mean, you ain't winning that argument regardless. People are going to be pissed off. It doesn't matter what value you bring, right? So they go, okay, well, it's going to be 20 cents for the bottom tier subscriptions because we ain't making no money off you anyway. And chances are you're not going to really sell that many copies. So it's not like the end of the world. And then you've got like the big daddy-os that got the top tier subscription that's 1 cent. And the way I look at it is, it's easy for me to say what the big deal is because I'm not in the business. But like people also got to understand that they're in the business also of making money. And so they might, and I'm sure they have, because Unreal Engine is their competitor. So I'm sure that they looked at their model and said, hey, we are severely undervaluing what we have. And I think it's time that we bump shit up and we figure out a way that we can monetize a little bit more so that we're still a reasonable option and we're still sort of the cheaper option. Because I guarantee you, if I dug deep into this and I looked at Unreal Engine subscription base and then over 1 million copies, what it is, I can probably almost guarantee you it's probably still the more expensive option, one way or another. Be pretty ludicrous if it wasn't. So I just think people went a little crazy by the sounds of it, and some of their things are valid. Like when you say the charity stuff, yeah, Okay, that might have just have been something that they didn't even think of. And then they may put an update and say, hey, listen, if it's for charity, then, we won't charge you anything. Or maybe they'll gift to charity, maybe they'll match. Who knows what they want to do? But at the end of the day, it feels like a little bit of an overreaction. It feels like it's kind of from the outside looking in. But I'm an ignorant guy that doesn't know this. So don't shoot me in the comments because I don't know. I'm not a dev. I don't actually know the costs. But it seems like we might be getting a little too crazy over this. People at some you got to bump things up, you got to make money.
Yeah. So so I guess to elaborate on some of the other aspects about why people were not super thrilled about this. And like you said, it's not, you're not wrong, is that, context, even in context excluded, the moment that you start charging more money for anything, it is almost impossible to not have people be upset regardless of what you're going to, you're going to bring to offset the increase of cost. It might have been helpful to them if they brought at least one thing that was, it would have lessened the blow. They didn't bring anything. They were like, we're just going to...
They could have just literally said, guys, it's 2023. Inflation is fucking stupid. Interest rates are nuts. Like, guys...
People probably would have...
Everybody else...
they might have respected that more on average. Like, at least if you're going to do it, be honest about it. But I think some of this other stuff coming up might give you more of an idea of
okay,
why.
There's more, okay.
Yeah, there's a little bit more to it.
All right.
I did want to add in here, though, that even Jeff Keighley, who is Mr. Ad Sales on Game Awards himself, even Jeff Keighley was ripping them an asshole on social media over this. If you got his ass out there doing anything but filleting Hideo Kojima, you've already done some fucked up shit.
Yeah, but it also feels like in situations like this, people are farming good karma, and they're trying to, and not only that, dude. They are standing up. Like, think about it. Guys like that, they are in the business of winning over developers. They want to win people's favoritism because without these developers, they don't make money.
Sure. I don't know if Jeff Keighley specifically is that fits Jeff Keighley specifically, but I understand what you're saying.
I don't know. He's a smart man. You know what I mean? Sure.
His security,
I'm not saying that there isn't any validity to what he's saying. But take it with a grain of salt. People will oftentimes farm karma.
Oh, I'm not saying it adds validity to any of the arguments. I just found it funny that, because lots of stuff in this industry happens and pops off all the time. Lots of karma farming opportunities, constantly. And I've never seen Jeff Keighley farm karma. And, so this was that's why I had to say it, because it was you get him farming karma, if you want to call it that. Then you've done something kind of fucking stupid. Or at least very inflammatory. So they came out and they made some changes. So reinstalls, they clarify, okay, so reinstall is not going to, be a charge. They say that fraudulent installs, and this was something people were obviously immediately interested in. Like, okay, so if people now know that for any given developer running Unity, that they're going to get charged on a per install basis, and it's pretty easy to tell which game is over 200,000 people having installed it and which game isn't. It's not fucking rocket science. What are we going to do about people bot scripting uninstall reinstalls just to fuck with a dev? Because that's
there's got to be some kind of token that they can through Unity that hey, once this token is registered digitally, it can't be re-registered again. Dude, it's 2023.
You would think they don't have anything like that they're mentioning, though. They haven't said anything. What they said is they're going to work with them on a case-by-case basis to investigate the validity of fraudulent activity for each game. They don't say we have a system that is in place so that every unique user we can determine. None of that. It's just case-by-case basis, which obviously people are not exactly. That doesn't instill a lot of confidence. When that happens, because think of how many other companies do case-by-case basis, and how well does that fucking go every time you go to actually, state your case. It's basically a boilerplate message that says, get fucked in legal speak, and then they walk away because they're just not interested. And then you have to go to social media, blow it up to the point where they're like, "Oh, we're sorry we missed your message. You weren't supposed to get that boilerplate response. My bad, YouTube creator team. We're back on the fucking case." And then, shit happens. So with that being said, this is a pretty major move by Unity, obviously. It's a major pricing structure change. It's pretty easy to understand, why. It's a pretty huge indie game engine, surely, and you're not wrong as well to say this, and that's why I have this here. This might affect 10 to 15% of all users of Unity, right? That's about probably, if I had to take a stab at it, 10, 15%, probably how many developers are actually going to fall into the category where they have sold 200 grand or hit 200,000 installs and higher in the calendar year. So the thing is, though, the thing is, though, is that there are some very notable people or developers that are way past that amount and can steamroll that amount on the regular by building games in Unity. Some notable too, all of Hoyo Labs, which is Genshin Impact. All of their games built in Unity.
Billions of dollars.
Yes, but
so stop bitching.
They have hundreds of millions of people in this mobile game that gets uninstalled and reinstalled and tracking it and all the nightmarish bullshit. And again, in the grand scheme of things, unless to them, and here is the thing, if I asked, and I should ask this to some of my friends that do development for gaming as a job, because there's several in the community, I'll say to them, on average, if somebody is a programmer that is fluent in Unity, what are the odds that they aren't also competent in current Unreal Engine? Because when you were talking about the cost of switching, so if Genshin Impact's company, parent company Hoyo, or Niantic, which Pokemon Go is built in Unity, and that's a pretty fucking enormous game as well. Yep. What would be the cost of switching engines if they felt like, on principle or otherwise, maybe they just don't want to spend $50 million a year in expenditure on an install base issue or some shit, whatever the fuck they end up paying. Maybe they just don't want to pay that shit, and so they want to move away from the engine. What does that cost? The real cost is typically rehire or retraining, right? And then efficiencies.
But the thing is though, the details of the Unreal Engine, it's not. I think for games like Genshin Impact and stuff, I don't think this matters. I think where this hurts is the really small guys. Because why I say that is you telling me that on the Unreal Engine, they have a system that if they have $1 million over sales, then that's when shit starts kicking in.
I believe it's 5% above $1 million, unless they have a very specific, and odds are if you get to that scale, and maybe Unity has a special deal with those companies as well, because you better believe when they announce this shit.
Oh, for sure.
Phone blowing up.
For sure.
So what deal are you going to cut us specifically that has nothing to do with this shit that's going on right now?
That's definitely going to happen.
So that will be. But you got
to ask yourself: is that one because Genshin Impact is going to be that 1 cent, assuming that they don't already have a deal where they're like, hey, we're just going to waive.
Oh no,
this,
they would. Yeah, anyone that size is the 1 cent. Yeah.
So they're the 1 cent.
Yeah.
But at 5% for over $1 million.
Yeah.
And your game is selling billions of dollars.
Assuming you don't have a special deal cut. Yeah.
Which I'm who knows? But like still that 1% is likely still cheaper than Unreal, and is probably why that they're suggesting it in these prices, and why it's 1% and not 1 cent and not 2 cents or 4 cents or 5 cents. They have definitely done the math. They didn't wake up one morning and say, guys, we just
a long term.
They know the intricacies of how Unreal Engine works, and they still want to make it so that they're the cheaper option, even with this, but it's going to be more expensive for the user. and the user is not going to be happy about the raise.
So
this is how it is.
So maybe this is a situation similar. It sounds similar to this. We could. This is a more analogous to our situation. We talked about the Twitch changes to their model. So you're in an interesting situation where the new model doesn't really affect the low end, doesn't really affect the high end.
That's right.
It specifically fucks everyone in the middle.
Yeah.
Which is like the meat and potatoes, region. So if, let's say it was a 10% of the people who are going to be affected by this is a 10%, you're looking at the band of let's say 50, if it was a distribution, 50% of the 10% are like where they're targeting to make the majority of the money with these monetary changes to the deal. And if I had to take a guess, Rust is probably, if they're still on Unreal or on Unity, they're probably in that category. They would be in they're not Genshin fucking Impact, for example, or anything of that nature. So they wouldn't be the top 1%.
But also, I think with Rust, and I don't know, but with Rust, it might be more advantageous for them to move now because it's going to cost them more money. And although it still might be the cheaper option to stay with Unity, what the Unreal Engine can offer them might be worth the extra small amount of money that they'll end up paying instead of just staying on Unity. Because then also in the back of your mind, you got to go, okay, well, if they're willing to raise these prices now, are they willing to raise these prices again in 3 years, in 5 years? Is 1 cent going to become 2 cents?
Yeah, do these numbers go up?
20 cents going to become 25 cents? So they got to ask themselves this: do we want to slowly start making the switch now and bite the bullet? We're big time now. We don't need Unity, theoretically. And we're not pinching cents over here. Like, let's be real. Rust probably makes millions of dollars. Like, they're not a small, it's a small game, but it's not a small game. It's not like an indie. So, they might be like, fuck it. Unreal Engine might cost us $2 million more a year because we're going to sell a ton of copies. They want 5% of our profits. But hey, that $2 million a year might actually allow us some new in-game features, some things that graphically that we couldn't do on Unity. We might be able to bring in really, really skilled professionals that are super good at Unreal that, they don't really know Unity that much. And we can make up that $2 million in a better experience for our players. So that might be an option too. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah. I just want to be the devil's advocate here a little bit.
No. And it's, and you're not, it's not like you're saying a bunch of like particularly crazy shit. I'm just looking at the rev share. I'm just interested in what, Epic's deal is. So like, I guess there's like multiple levels to it, right? Because you've got, this is what we were talking about on the podcast many months ago, was the Epic Store revenue, how much they were taking, right? Because there was like 30% in many stores and Epic capped it at 12. Yep. Which is a fucking monstrous difference between 30 and 12. Yep. And so,
but they're also a new platform and they want to grow, right?
Yeah, but they also are the engine. So the idea I think for them is that they're like, okay, well, we're going to get 5% from the engine and we're getting 12% over here.
It kind of
we can attract a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
it's like Amazon using their own Amazon servers on Twitch, right? It's like, hey, we can kind of double dip a little bit. So we can lower down here. And, we might, but it all balances out because we own the entire ecosystem.
Yeah, because, I mean, how attractive is it for a lot of indie devs and even, mid-tier where they say, okay, first $1 million is just free and fucking clear. And you're only taking 12%, so I'm getting 88% if I put my game on Epic Store.
Yeah.
And I'm only going to lose 5% above the 1 million. But and it's all in one it's all their one ecosystem and shit. Like it's no wonder. Yeah, it's hard to say no. So I'll be interested to see how this develops. I'll be interested to see if they make more changes because they've already made changes. But the last little piece that I wanted to add on here that was an interesting little development that people discovered, because obviously it was one of the first things some people were interested in, was, okay, this is a big announcement. Were there any moves from within the company before this announcement was made? Specifically, were shares being sold off before this decision was made, or more specifically announced? Because the decision was made.
This inside trading now
a while ago. Yeah. So with that being said,
I doubt that. That's highly illegal.
Interestingly enough, do I have it in here? If not, I have it off the top of my head for sure. Where is... Yeah, here. So, it was discovered that nearly the entire C-suite, nearly the whole list, sold off thousands of shares not long before the announcement was made. Some of these people were smart enough to have their shit set up on an automatic sale. So when you're working at a company, you can have, you can sell off some of your shares if you have if you're given shares as part of the company, you can sell off at certain levels of profitability, et cetera, et cetera. These all happened in a really convenient, 5-day window just before this was announced. September 1st through September 6th. There were a group at the 1st and a group at the 6th. So many of them were set to automatic, which, then you have some, and I'm not saying that this is insider trading, but it's fucking convenient. It's fucking convenient that they did do the sales.
How long were the automatic sales going? Were they doing the same automatic sales every month for the last year, or is this
that
just
information? And that's what I'm. And that's why I say. Important. And that's why I say I don't know. But it's just it's an unfortunate circumstance. Now, what I will say is that not everyone was automatic. And perhaps the most important person of all wasn't automatic. The CEO did a manual sale on the 6th of September.
And when did they come up with this info?
This info was 2-3 days ago, so that was inside of a week of the announcement being made.
That's not a good look.
Nah. If anyone else had done a manual sale, probably wouldn't be all that sketchy, and I wouldn't be putting a question mark. But it's Riccatello. It's the CEO of the company making sales on manual. And so that does cast a bit of a, of a doubt. And one of the automatic sales were also set for the 6th, which is when Riccatello sold his shares manually.
Well, before anybody just assumes it's insider trading, right?
Yes.
There are nuances to selling stocks.
There are, yes.
And it's also not uncommon for people that work in the company to be selling stocks on a monthly or a quarterly basis.
Yes.
All the time. It doesn't really matter. They're allowed to do it under certain set of guidelines. So, as long we don't have enough info, but I'm sure it'll all come out within,
my assumption, my safe assumption, I'm not trying to actually say what they defend. I'm just saying this is my assumption, is that the automatic ones that were set to September 1st, first of the month sale, automatic.
Makes sense.
I'm not going to sit here and go, that's insider trading.
Yeah.
John Riccatello selling his shit manually on the 6th of September is a little sketchy. I'm not saying insider trading definitively. I'm saying it raises some question marks and he might need to...
Yeah, it just depends on his previous actions. Is this the only time he's ever done a manual sale? Or does he do manual sales every 3 months? Does he do a manual sale every month? Who knows, right? We could sit here and speculate all day long.
Yeah.
But obviously, if he's privy to the information, he knows that when this information comes out, the stock ain't gonna raise, right?
No.
People are gonna lose their mind. It's gonna tank, and the real question is he gonna
buy it back? At the dip? That's what I'm saying.
Then it looks real fucking bad.
That's what I'm saying.
Then it looks super fucking bad because
that's what I'm saying.
Eventually it will go back up, especially if they're making more revenue and all this other stuff. But it's the shock to the system where they're going, hey, we're gonna announce this. Let me go and sell a bag. Let me free up a few $1,000,000 and then let's buy it 10%, 12, 15% cheaper in another 2 weeks when all the headlines cool down. And now I've made more money. So we'll see.
That's what I'm waiting for. I don't know if I'll put that in my notes, but that's what I'm waiting for. If he comes around and he buys back,
he'd be foolish to do that with all the spot. You're literally asking him to go to jail.
Yeah, at that point,
you're literally asking, lose your job, lose all you're fucked, right? On the biggest stage, you're fucked.
Just take the bag. Hope you get away with it.
Yeah, and
let it be.
Just walk
away. Just walk away.
Yeah, and you better manually sell some more stock next month, no matter what.
Ideally on the same day of the month, if possible.
Same day. You better start.
So yeah, that's where that's at. So we'll wait. There will 100% be more moves on this, and so we will likely get. I'm sure, for example, there will be comparisons on here's Unreal versus versus Unity. This is what the structure actually looks like, and maybe we'll have more information to be able to talk about that as it expands and we get more of this stuff released. We'll let you guys know about it. But for now, yeah, I just thought this was kind of funny. Like, why did it have to be the CEO on manual? Why couldn't it have been, like, literally anyone else? There's a CEO doing a manual sale while everyone else is on automatic. Just looks so fucking sus. He's probably, if it's not anything major, he's probably sitting there going, God damn it. Not one of you bastards could have manual sale, but why the hell am I out here on an island by myself? Next up, the iPhone 15. I'm sure you saw some of this pop up on your feeds, Mr. Black, at some point, but maybe not. You are an Apple user. The iPhone 15 was announced and paraded around on the stage at the Apple event this week. And while it's finally making the change to USB-C for the platform, thank fucking God they're getting rid of that cable. Jesus H. And they're only doing it because the European Union's forcing it. That's literally the only reason. So shout out to the EU for saying, change it or you don't get to sell the iPhone in the entirety of the European Union. So that's why you're getting USB-C. So shout outs to the fucking European Union on that one. So they made the change to that. I was waiting to see if they'd come up with a way to, for them to spin it, that it was like Apple reinventing the wheel. No, it's not even like the full flat, like fancy USB-C. It's like they got the USB 2.0 speeds in a lot of the phones until you get to the top of the line. So they're really doing this begrudgingly. They're not fucking happy about doing it. That being said, it's not the whole point of this little addition here. What is very impressive, of course, and as we all know this, is that anyone that has a relatively modern phone would know, is that these motherfuckers are getting powerful as shit. The games that you can play on these bastards
it's insane.
Are getting, bigger and better looking and getting closer and closer to basically like bordering on console style gaming as time goes on. We're hitting a bit of what appears to be the next frontier for this, Mr. Black, and it's starting with what they talked about being available on the iPhone 15. Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is the new Assassin's Creed about to come out, the full fancy, legit, not a mobile version. These are not mobile. I will preface this. None of these are mobile. They will be obviously optimized for the iPhone when they get launched, but they're not strictly mobile games. They're legitimately full releases of console-specific games. Assassin's Creed Mirage, Resident Evil Village, and Resident Evil 4 Remake were the first three that were announced that are going to be playable on the phone. And I thought that was pretty fucking important. That seems like a bit of a milestone. We're going to have to see how these run. Those aren't small games. Those are big boy AAA titles. And again, not mobile specific. They're being ported to the phone. And that gives you an indication of how powerful the chips that Apple and eventually, I'm sure, and they're not as efficient because they don't run the software and hardware simultaneously. But Android phones the same. They're getting more and more fucking powerful. These little bastards are getting crazy. So
I don't know. One sec. I don't know if this happened on the stream or not, but you were breaking up real bad.
Am I breaking up?
I don't know. Yeah. If anybody in chat sees if Adam, I'm watching the stream. No, you seem to. It looks like it might be on my end, like just a connection thing. Keep going.
Breaking up like for audio?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking weird.
Sounded like a robot, and the video just seems very. But
I will say that I did have a disconnect for a short time.
Okay.
On the stream, hopefully that didn't translate to YouTube. It's probably weather related.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting.
You sound good now.
Yeah,
it was just like a little 30-second, 40-second.
I think we're getting some weather-related fuckery because the hurricane is definitely starting to affect.
All right,
internet.
You're good now, though. You're good.
So yeah, so this is very interesting. I'm very intrigued with how those games play on that phone. That's big. That's big development. So if we're getting closer and closer to just not only are you playing these games, on the console, but they're just going to release these fuckers on the phone. I mean, that's going to open up a huge market that wasn't previously available, right?
Well, I think what they're going to need to do, though, like, to have a good gaming experience, you're going to need to have an add-on with a controller. Like, you're
which are available, totally. You can get those,
but, like, to literally sit on your phone and play a game like Resident Evil and you're using your thumbs, it just seems a bit...
Bro, those young kids, they are they are assassins with that shit. They're playing Fortnite competitively like that. Can I do it? Hell no! I'm terrible. No. Bro, have you ever tried that shit? My thumb will run off the top of the screen. Like, it's the one where you're just supposed to, like, stay in a small circle, you know, because they're like analog sticks. And my brain doesn't want to do that. It just, my thumb wants to drift to, like, move the fucking screen. And so I'm terrible. But I was watching, like, there's a family that runs a Filipino restaurant nearby that we go to once in a while. And they have kids, you know, their kids are there, you know, family-run restaurant. The kids are obviously, like, out sitting, doing their homework, whatever. And they're, like, in elementary school. And the little boy, who might have been 6, 7 years old, playing Fortnite on his phone, just raw dogging it like that. No fucking controller, no nothing. And I'm watching the speed of this bastard building in Fortnite on a phone with touchscreen. And I don't, so they're built different. So these kids are built different. Man.
Yeah, I'm just an old fucking boomer at this point. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? Like, there ain't enough Adderall and focus that I could possibly do to play.
Yeah, but for us old guys, they have the controllers. You know, we can get the fucking add-on. And fucking, you know, we can make it happen. But I mean, I'm super excited to see how this pans out. Maybe they end up being dog water. Who knows? But for now, that's a pretty big announcement. Be like, look,
this USB-C shit though. Bless. All of that. And the thing is some Apple products already use USB-C. I don't know why. Like, I don't know what the fuck.
Bro, do you know how much money they make on resales of fucking like Apple cable? It's just an insane.
It's an unfathomable amount. An unfathomable amount.
The amount
money.
of fucking cables that, and because I'm an iPhone user, those cables are so shit. They break at the neck.
Fucking other month.
Yeah,
like just from pulling it out and putting it back in.
And they're not even they're not cheap cables. They're fucking expensive cables.
It's like fucking $30 to buy a goddamn cable.
And they're
like,
fucking. Why are they so short? Why are the Apple cords like 4 feet? They're not even a standard length. They're like fucking randomly 4 feet long.
One of my buddies was bitching so hard about the cords. This motherfucker went on to Alibaba and he bought 100 of these fucking cords, and he's got a bin. So it's like whenever somebody cord breaks, like, yo, come on over to the house, man. I just give you one. And he pays like fucking 15 cents per cord, right? It's just like he just bought a fucking mass in bulk.
Oh my god. Oh, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah, and
that's why.
He was selling them on Facebook Marketplace for $5 a piece, and it's still like $10 cheaper than fucking anywhere else. You go to the gas station, you buy one, it's like fucking $15. Like $14.99 for a fucking cord that breaks in a month.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy.
Well, it's bonkers. I have all my USB cables are usually Anchor or something similar, and they're braided like this.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah.
And I have like 30 of them, and I honest to God, I've never once had a cable break. Once, and it could be used and abused. And so I can definitely see my internet's fucked. Like you're friggin' pixelated.
I got this braided one. This one's lasted me a while, but like your regular ones that like the actual comes in the box, those things are fucking awful, man.
Oh,
they're garbage.
God, it's
and
terrible.
They're designed to be garbage. They want your shit to break, so they can make like 5,000% profit on the fucking cord. They make more money off the goddamn cords they do the damn phones.
I think my favorite thing though about the reveal, other than that, just as a joke, because it was a bit of a joke, like it seemed like a bit of a fucking meme, is that they were talking about how they, I think it was like they're doing like titanium is now the body, the unibody is now titanium. So it's like, oh, it's so durable, it's even stronger than it was before. And then instead of, I think the old body was aluminum, but then they still cover the whole back of the phone with glass. So like, yeah, you could drop your phone, and the frame is never going to be, the frame's not a problem. Like the frame is like, it's metal.
Screen. Yeah.
But the back of the phone is just regular. It's not even like this. It's not like Gorilla Glass or Ruby or anything. It's just regular fucking glass on the back of the phone. So you drop that shit, and nobody's like, oh no, the corner of my phone. It's, oh no, the entire back of my phone now looks like somebody tried to put a rock through it. Like, what the fuck? It's just a complete waste of time. But there you go. So an interesting.
We'll see what the performance is like.
Yeah, exactly. Lies of P. I just like saying that name, Mr. Black. This is the dumbest fucking video game name I've ever heard. Lies of P, where you can upgrade your P organ. That's an actual thing in the game. Just shout outs to the dev that decided to just run with that bad boy. It's finally out, and it's sitting around an 80, about an 82, so not bad. You know, they did pretty well, other than the name, which probably lost it, 1 point by itself. But otherwise, seems like it's doing pretty well review-wise. It's another Dark Souls game. You like Dark Souls, you like P. It's got both of those things. Lots of P, lots of Dark Souls. Nintendo Direct today. And I think in the middle of this podcast, Sony is doing an event as well, as per fucking usual around these parts. Nintendo Direct today didn't have much, but we did see a couple of things that I'll note here before we wrap up the gaming news. The final Mario Kart 8. The game that never dies. That's like 13-year-old fucking game that sold more copies than fucking any game ever. It's the last of the pack specifically. Diddy Kong is going to be a racer. Funky Kong also going to be a racer. Pauline and Peachette. But Diddy Kong was interesting specifically because obviously Diddy Kong had his own racing game back in the day. Diddy Kong was not in Mario Kart. You had DK, Donkey Kong was there, but Diddy not so much. Oh, we were loading and shit. Oh yeah, and it's not even on my modem, so there's a hop somewhere between here and YouTube servers that's getting just slammed by this fucking hurricane right now. But nevertheless, there you go. And then the next and only other real major thing that I could say from the Nintendo Direct is Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, which is a game a lot of people love. That's a big one right there. Is finally getting a Switch remake or a Switch update and release. And so a lot of people were excited about that one. Did you play Thousand Year Door back in the day?
I have not. I have it, but I've never played it.
Never played it? Did you play the original like N64 Paper Mario?
Nope.
Wow. Do you have that one?
I do.
Yeah. That was one, I think back when I sold my N64 games, which is, I'm
Bad
sad I did. But even then, back then, Paper Mario was worth a fucking shitload of money. Like, I think I got like $50 for that fucking cart back in the day. It was crazy. I don't know what it's worth now. It's probably a lot more than $50. $50.
Oh,
but,
for sure.
Yeah. But
I think it's not. I think it's like I want to say it's like a $90 or $100 cart.
Okay, that's pretty decent. Some of the N64 games are getting crazy though. They don't even make sense. They don't even make sense anymore. Some of them just absolutely insane.
The whole market doesn't make sense anymore. But it is what it is. Like it's even hard for me to buy games these days because it's just like
you can't even justify.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. It's $100 cart.
Oh, boom.
Dude, it's actually crazy how much I know about the retro video game market. It's kind of scary, to be honest. Take a look what I bought though. I want to show everybody.
You got some shit. What do we got? Let's see. He's over at the video game wall.
Just because we brought up N64.
Oh boy.
I'm not taking it out of the case.
Okay.
I spent.
Oh boy.
$700 for this game. This is the most money I have ever spent on a video game in my life. And I'm usually an absolute fucking cheapskate because I'm used to buying games like pennies on the dollar. But
was this a sentimental purchase?
Yes. Oh yes.
Okay, so now I'm really curious as to what was a $700 cart. Oh no shot! That was $700.
Bro, look how clean this.
It's clean as fuck though. That's crazy.
This is
holy shit.
This is clean. Let's see, you get the fucking tag on it. It's clean, bro.
God,
I'm not even taking
where did you get it? Was it an online deal?
Mint, everything's mint. So there's this YouTuber.
Yeah.
That he's called Chase the Deal or Chase the. I want to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
Chase. His name's Chase, but his channel is called Chase the Right Price, I think. Let me see here. Chase. I think it's Chase the Right Price. I'm going to Google it real quick. So anyway, Chase the Right Price. Chase After the Right Price. That's it. Chase After the Right Price. So that's his YouTube channel. He's a reseller. So like his bread and butter is video games. You can learn a lot off this guy. In fact, one of the podcasts, maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, I talked about buying or putting up an ad about a Nintendo Switch and then, getting people to trade you a bunch of goods, get like old games and shit for the Switch. You don't even need to buy it. And then on the way to their house, go to Best Buy or Walmart, pick one up, and then trade it to make, maybe double your money, triple, quadruple your money. And I was actually reading some comments of people like, oh, how's that gonna work? Or what the fuck? Like, why would somebody trade you $1,000 or $1,200 worth of video games for a Nintendo Switch that costs $250? Well, for one, not everybody has cash. Number two, not everybody wants to go and individually sell games on eBay and meet up with people. And number three, if there's a box of old games that's been sitting in a closet forever and a day, and they have an opportunity to get a PS5 or an OLED Switch or whatever, chances are that has no value to them, and what you're providing has value. It's a convenience thing. And then also sometimes people just don't know what they have, right? And you can get lucky. So anyway, this guy, he's a reseller. He goes to he goes to yard sales, thrift stores, he buys games, and then he buys a whole bunch of shit. Like he'll buy like fucking old record players, sneakers, whatever. Like he knows this shit. So anyway, there's this video on YouTube, and you could probably search it and find it. I think it's called "My Best Yard Sale Find in 20 Years" is the name of the video. He goes to a yard sale, and there's this guy. He asks him, hey, do you have any video games for sale? And this guy pulls out a bucket of just minty N64 games, like crisp. And we're talking some like high-end shit. He ends up buying everything for like $4,000, which isn't cheap, but he's probably got $8,000 worth of games, right? So anyway, this was in his video. Helly Famous is in a group with him because Helly Famous is a reseller of games as well, and learns a lot from him. And he said, yo, Jeff, like, bro, I know you've been wanting StarCraft. Like, I already have the cart I have 3 of them now.
Yeah.
But it's the box and manual that I only cared about, and the inserts and stuff. And he was like, yeah, man, like, he's got it up on eBay, but like, I can put in a word, and I'm sure he'll just sell it to you. So I messaged him on Discord, and I said, hey, man, like, my whole career, my life changed because of this game. Like, I had an funny enough, I was at PAX in 2014. It was either 13 or 14 in Boston, and there was a seller there at one of the booths that had a sealed. This isn't sealed, but they had a sealed StarCraft 64. It was graded. And it was like, I think it was like 90 grade or something like that. But he wanted $2,000 for the game back then. And I mean, bro, I just didn't have that type of money. And I really wanted to buy it. I considered it. Like the 3 days I was at PAX, I kept going there to see if it was still there. And everything in my soul was telling me like, Jeff, yeah, it's a lot of money, but like, dude, you've made a fuck ton of money off this game. To just invest a couple $1,000, and this was long before I was retro game collecting. So like I didn't even, this was just buy the game, and I didn't do it, and I regret it. Now that same game is probably fucking, I don't even know, $5,000, $7,000, $8,000, right? But anyway, he got this, he had it up on eBay. I'm like, bro, you gotta sell me this game. He's like, yeah, done. And it was funny enough because he was like, dude, when I first started, I watched all of your videos. So I was doing all of, he was watching me do all of the yard sale stuff, and he kind of got into it as well. So he knew who I was right away, and he was happy to sell it to me. So shout outs to Chase After the Right Price. If you guys haven't checked him out, go YouTube him. He's got some great content. And yeah, I got a piece of my I don't want to say childhood, but it's when I was a teenager. And for those who don't know, my cousin Coleus and I, we went to we went to Roger's Video, and we went to go get Star Fox 64, and they all of them were rented out. I told him to pick a game. He picked StarCraft 64. We took that bitch home, and it changed my life.
It's probably because it was right next to Star Fox, where it would have been, because it's all done by Alphabet.
Alphabet, yeah.
And so he probably just went close enough and just took the fucking.
And that was it. And it's a horrible game on N64.
Oh, it's fucking terrible.
Fucking awful.
Oh.
You try and play this game on an N64 controller, and at 5 FPS, bro, this ain't it. But, yeah. So anyway, I spent, I think I paid I paid like 600. I think it was like $630 for the game to have the game and it shipped, and then I had to spend another $90 in border fees.
Yeah, every
Fucking
time.
stupid. So it's over $700 for this little thing right here, and I guarantee you guys in 5 years this will be over $1,000.
Oh yeah,
just
the way the market's going.
Yeah. And it's just so like this. It's so clean, man. It's like got the shape and everything. It's just nice. So
that's dope.
I got this like what 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. I forgot to mention it last week, but since you brought up N64,
fuck, there is one thing I'm similar coveting trying to get, but it's nearly impossible and it's so expensive. And it's the there is a special edition Morrowind that was released for the PC. They had a big box with like a bunch of extra shit and whatnot. And I've told Hallie to keep it. If you see it, let me know.
Yeah.
But it is exceedingly rare. I've seen one on eBay for $2,000, and it wasn't even.
Really?
It's not. This is not sealed. This is just like
what is it?
Above average.
Morrowind.
It's Morrowind's like it's there was a collector's edition or a special edition. 1 sec.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of big box Morrowind stuff on.
Yeah,
there,
it's the collector's. It's the
what it is.
I think it's the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind Collector's Edition PC, right there, pre-owned, $16.91 Canadian right now on eBay.
Special edition.
That might even be the same fucking one that I've seen before, but you can see it's not even crispy. It's in decent shape, but the top's got a little bit of wear. It's been opened a few times, got some tape on the side and shit.
Is it Morrowind? It's Morrowind?
Morrowind, yeah. Here, 1 sec. I'll give you the link.
Yeah, send me the link. Morrowind
Collector's Edition. Here.
Yeah, send that shit over. I want to check. I want to see if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, you're gonna be looking for that.
Shit. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That is my.
Oh, it's got a statue with it too.
Yeah, that is my.
That's dope. I've never
Grail.
seen that before.
That's my grail.
I've never even seen that before.
Yeah, well, but like it was a limited run, not very many. It wasn't made for very long. Back when it first came out, and PC boxes, so hard to get a PC box not fucking destroyed, let alone have it in general.
Yeah.
And so that's my grail. I mean, other than that, I have my other grail. I've already got most of my other grails. I've got that lithographic print from Riven. That was like $2,600 or some shit. But it's like a limited number. There was only a handful made, and I think mine's number 1. And it's got the authentication thing on it, original frame, the whole 9 yards. And then I got this, which is the from Mr. Riven hardcover, which was a limited run back in 1997.
Wasn't there somebody that made the actual book, and it was like it was
yes.
like a monitor in it and everything? It's like
somebody did that like for fun years ago, and then when they did a Kickstarter back in the day for, I can't remember if it was the 20th anniversary of Myst or whatever, what I think it was the 20th anniversary. They have it, and I own it. I have it. So you open it, and it has an LCD screen, and it looks like the Myst book, the linking book. You open it, and you can load it with whatever you want, but it comes loaded with all of the flyby FMVs for all of the levels for the Myst games. How big is
the screen? It's like the size of a phone?
It's the same as it is in the game, which was never that. It wasn't like the full screen. It was like, probably, like a fucking whatever. But it was super dope. And so I have that and as well. But and then in that same Kickstarter was also where I got the original piece of original concept art for Riven. So like an actual like just parchment paper thing that they had. That's the dope. Brothers, were drawing stuff out. I was number 13. I'm fucking sour because I sat there. I was like, oh, it's so much money. I don't know if I want to do it. And I waited so long. I was number 13, and it was the first come, first serve. And I was like,
you probably could have got right at the tippity top if you didn't delay at him.
No,
sometimes you just gotta pull the trigger at him. Sometimes you gotta pull the trigger.
I went from I think it was the lowest I could have been was like 6. I ended up being 13. And so how they did it was they had a whole bunch of stuff they found like in the office, like all of the old concept art and stuff. And there was one that was the concept art. I was so fucking salty for the Hive, which is on the cover of Ribbon, the orb thing. There was that motherfucker was there, and I was like, no, I need it. And I knew it was gonna be gone. First person took that shit. I was like, you son of a bitch, because my lithograph is of the Hive, and so I was like, oh my god, lithograph, concept art.
Yeah, you could get that shit framed. It'd be yeah,
but
right.
Nevertheless, it's okay. My concept art is for some other cool aspects of the game. They have like handwriting on it where they were like, you know, questioning what this was going to be for and all. So it's just really neat, like to think back in the 90s, the brothers were sitting at a table in like a fucking basement basically somewhere, coming up with this whole game. So those are like my grail, but that Morrowind is the grail, and I haven't seen. I'm pretty sure that's the same one I saw years ago. He hasn't sold it yet. Nobody's fucking bought it. Like,
give him an offer, right? You can bid on it, right?
Well, I ain't got the money right now. I can tell you that much. Yeah.
But it's just
but it looks like it will be there when I'm ready.
It'll probably be there when you're ready. Yeah, it'll probably be there.
But yeah, but that's my group. That's super dope. I didn't think anyone would have had a StarCraft 64 in a box.
Oh, it's rare. And the thing is there's a few on eBay with the boxes, but they ain't nowhere's near the quality of this.
No,
I mean,
they're super
fucking,
nice.
Like, flat as a pancake. This thing is just it's a beauty. It's a thing of beauty.
And he got like a whole box of that kind of shit, eh?
Yeah, it was he got the whole fucking kit and
bro,
caboodle.
who keeps that shit that crisp? I mean, how do you even? Those boxes are so frail.
Dude, you should watch the video. Like I said, it's called my best yard sale find in 20 years. And dude, when he opens the box, you're gonna go, what the fuck? How the fuck? What the actual fuck?
Dude, like, my boxes were fucked up on day one when I opened it for the first time. Fucked. So dude,
there are people that are super anal about their boxes and shit.
Yeah.
And they'll put on, and then there are some videos out there where what people do is they buy 2 copies. So they buy 1 copy and then they leave another copy just sealed in a box somewhere. And then somebody like dies or it's in a storage locker somewhere and they pull the shit out and they're going, what the actual fuck? There's like 30 games in here sealed from like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah,
and it's just
true.
It's just money. It's money.
I keep telling myself I should do that with my games, but now that like games aren't physical anymore, you kind of like miss the fucking bus on that shit.
But at the same time, like think about it. Games like the Wii U games, they're all going up in price right now. GameCube gone fucking bananas.
Oh, that's crazy.
GameCube is fucking crazy going up. Imagine it. Even now, like the Nintendo Switch. Imagine just buying. I know it's easier said than done because you're already spending $100 on a fucking game. But imagine if for every game that you bought 2 of them, and then you just left these games sealed and you didn't touch them for 20 years. I guarantee you, man. Bro, I guarantee you. You're gonna make multiples on your money, like multiples.
What I want to know is how much Jeff Gerstmann's collection is worth, because
he's probably got every. Oh, dude, it's in a vault somewhere.
He did the same thing where he bought a fresh copy alongside whatever. He's got triples in some games. Like he's just got fucking shit just laying. And it was his entire garage was. When he moved, he did a series of live streams where he was going through his garage, showing off all the shit as he was digging, because he has so much shit from 30 years in the games industry. He forgot what he had, and he doesn't just have like the shit off the shelf. He's got the shit that like shit. He's got the special shit.
Yeah, he's got the special stuff that ain't nobody got.
Oh my god, how much money is in this garage?
But I mean, the guy's already filthy rich, right? So he probably doesn't even think of it like dollar signs. He just probably thinks of it as like memorabilia and stuff that like, you know. But
some of the stuff he pulled out, I'm like, where? Like, there's none. You have the only one. And he kept some really esoteric shit. Like, he had, like, bags of Doritos that were, like, the special fucking edition, like, bags of Doritos. Well, not the ones you buy in stores, but, like, the ones that, like, devs gave him specifically.
People love that shit, dude.
That's true, like, I know. Fuck.
Like, there's collectors that, like, love the obscure shit. Like, we're talking, like, old World Nintendo jackets and fucking, like, baseball hats that were, like, only ran for a certain amount of time and The majority of them are in the dumpster somewhere, just like fucking, and people just eat that shit up, man. And what's crazy is when you get shit like this, you almost can just name your price.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, there is to a degree a price in which, like, you know, is kind of ludicrous, but like I could put this on eBay and put it up for $1,000 and it might sit there for 3 months, 6 months. Eventually somebody is going to buy this shit because they're like me and it's something sentimental to them, and it's not the money, it's the product. They just want it. And it's rare. It's not like you can just go buy it, right? So
no.
Yeah.
You know who I feel bad? You know who I feel bad for? Just to wrap this up before we go into the sellout. I feel bad for, his name's also Adam, who ran the last game store in Halifax.
Yeah, he got ran out.
Because he got ran out at, like, literally...
Yeah, just before the boom.
Just before everything in that store would have been worth a fucking goddamn fortune.
Yep.
I feel like when it was the pandemic and it started to run up, and I was like, oh no, dude. I was like, for him, he's probably just losing his shit over how much money he had.
He got fucked on because he lost his business. I mean, that's already horrible in itself. And then to know that the stuff that you probably had to sell at a discount to just make ends meet to get out of it now is worth, you know, 50 to 70% more, like overnight.
Overnight,
really.
Bro.
Yeah. That pandemic, everybody was just online buying old games. They had more time on their hands than ever before. And
it's nostalgia, like they're looking for anything to make them feel something.
Feel good. Yeah.
So it's just nostalgia purchases.
Yeah, they just want to play it.
It's crazy.
All right.
Well, I just want to hear a sellout, Mr. Black. What do you got for us?
Patreon.com/LagTV. I think we're about $300 off, and Nova War says, so head on over there and throw money at the screen. If you can't afford to do so, that's totally fine. Just hit the like button, hang out, give us a view, share it with a friend, leave a comment, do the things that, you know, it doesn't cost you anything to do. Show a little class, all right? Hit the like button. Fucking, you know, help out. Just make it happen. And if you don't, shame on you. You should be very, very upset with yourself for not... All right, no. Seriously though, hit the like button. All right, it takes you 2 seconds. Okay. And then if you got some money to spend, good news, it's very cheap. We got NordVPN. Thanks to you guys. All right, and people on my stream. We got it so that we got another re-up with NordVPN.
Let's go.
They've been sponsoring us for years. You guys have been showing up in a big way and getting your 2-year subscriptions. And now officially, they will permanently be giving out, from what I'm told, 4 extra months when you get that 2-year subscription. So you ain't got to worry about 4 months. Last time it was 1 month. No, 4 months. That's what you're getting on top of the 2-year when you use the promo code OTT. All right. NordVPN. So it's NordVPN.com/OTT. Get a 2-year subscription. Get yourself 4 extra months. Stay safe. Stay anonymous when you're on the internet. Watch different regions of Netflix and other streaming services at the click of a button. I personally now stream using NordVPN. It helps with my ping in Grand Theft Auto when I'm on the RP server. The service works great, guys. They've been in the game for over 11 years. They're the top dog. It's what they do. And they do more than just make it so that you have anonymity on the internet.
Holy shit, you ran that word out like butter, bro. That shit, I can't say that word to save my life. You just fucking rattled that shit off like nothing. Can you do it again, though?
Anonymity?
Fuck.
Yeah, I can do it. I've been practicing. I've been talking about NordVPN for years. There's something wrong if I couldn't do it. And I'm the guy that sells out at him. You're just here telling me when to sell out. All right.
I can't say that word.
So, guys, they do more than just that, right? They also have threat protection on the PC app that's free when you get your subscription. You can run that in the background. You don't have to connect to a server. It just makes it so that it can detect and remove malware while you're on your PC, along with a list of other things. It's all about protection, guys. It's a digital world out there, and we're continuously getting more and more digital as time goes on. So if you're going to be on the internet, at least give yourself that layer of protection, right? I hate to make the analogy, but if you're going to dip into something new, you got to wear a condom. You know what I'm saying? You got to be responsible, right? The internet can be a place full of STDs, you know what I'm saying, or STIs, whatever's the proper way of saying it. There's a lot of viruses out there. There's a lot of malware out there. There's a lot of people out there that want to get your information, steal from you, get your credit card information. They want to know your IP. They want to know what you're doing. They want to get your cookies. They want to do all this stuff. Have NordVPN. It's less than a cup of coffee a month. Like, I think it's 1 in 3 households have a VPN now. This isn't just a niche market anymore. It's almost a necessity. Now, I'm not trying to scare y'all, but do you want an STD on the internet? I know I don't. I know I don't. So go ahead and get yourself a VPN. It works fantastically, all right? 30-day money-back guarantee. If you don't like it for any reason, get your money back within 30 days. It's less than a cup of coffee a month, guys. 4 extra months. Use the promo code OTT. And stay safe and anonymous when you're traveling, when you're at home. You can use it on your iPhone, your Android, your Mac, your PC, your pretty much any device. You can hook it right directly up to your router if you want. Have every device in your household protected off just one of your connections. You can have up to 6. So if you're like Adam and you've got somebody that's got a small Filipino family that is 30 people minimal, you can use one of them connections. Can cover all 30 of them. Just boom, right there. And you still got 5 left to chill out and do whatever. So go check them out. NordVPN.com/OTT.
Holy fuck. What a sellout. Well done.
I'm trying to sell,
hey,
man.
Crushed it.
I'm trying to sell.
Crushed it.
Thanks, bro.
Now it's time for...
movies and TV.
You know who else is crushing it? Barbie. Barbie is fucking mangling that shit out there. She ain't got no time for nobody. She is making so much money in the box office, Mr. Black, and is now officially passed Deathly Hallows Part 2 to become the #1 box office earner for Warner Brothers. Previously, it was Harry Potter, Deathly Hallows Part 2, and now they've taken over. That sits at $1.404 billion.
Damn.
That is a lot of money on Barbie. Oh my God.
Damn. And you know that movie ain't cost that movie didn't cost more than $100 million bucks. Let me see here. Barbie budget. Let me see here. Okay. Oh, look at that. The original film budget was approximately $100 million.
Fucking nailed it.
However, as time passed, it steadily escalated to about $145 million. So they spent $145 million. Then they probably spent, say, another $100 million in marketing. Maybe more, actually. They went nuts
more.
With the
they went
marketing.
nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. They did go nuts in marketing. So maybe they doubled it. You know, maybe they're in for $300 million, maybe $350 million, because that marketing campaign was fucking nuts.
That was.
Maybe it just stood out because it was pink and it's like in your face, but I just believe they were just everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Yeah, 100. So say they're in for $350 million. Go fuck it. Go to $400 million on the high end. They made $1 billion of profit, man. And they ain't even hit digital yet.
No.
They ain't even digital. They ain't even digital yet.
No. So this could theoretically, given just a little bit more time, pass Frozen 2 as the highest grossing female-directed film of all time, which is currently sitting at, I believe, 1.43-ish.
And
so it's
they'll beat that.
200 and let's call it not even. No, that's we're 26 mil away. They gotta hit that before they're out of theaters. That's gotta happen.
Oh, they'll hit that. I mean, at the very least, they'll do they'll put in a longer version, or they'll re-release it. If they're that close.
Yeah. Oh, it's happening.
They're gonna go there.
Oh yeah.
It's just a matter of when. So
shout out, congratulations Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea, but when I can watch it here on digital, Kayla really wants to watch it, so I'll suffer through it.
You'll at least enjoy Ryan Gosling, who really just fucking threw his entire soul into being King.
Ryan Gosling, right? He's a good looking dude. Fucking it's Ryan Gosling.
You gotta just like the guy, you know?
Yeah.
After the announcement that the upcoming film, The Boy and the Heron, would be Studio Ghibli's Hayao. I can't remember how to pronounce his first name, and I'm fucking salty. But Miyazaki's last film, a follow-up announcement was made a few days later after many people were basically just collapsing on social media over the thought of him no longer making more movies. That he's already back in the office with new movie ideas. The man is 82 years old. He's been doing animation for fucking decades. And everyone keeps thinking, is this his last movie? Is this the last one? Because when they do it, that's some hand-drawn shit. They ain't fucking with all the fancy whatever the shit. They are torturing their employees with more burnout than anyone. But you know what? He doesn't sit back with the whip. He's in the trenches. He's in there grinding it out, even at 82 years old. And so he's back. Everyone thought, oh shit, this is the last one. Miyazaki's put out some certified bangers. I don't think the Ghibli's put out a shit movie in their entire existence. They basically just put out bangers. And so I'm sure this will also do well.
You want to know who else is out here still doing it?
Who's that?
At 85 years old, still out here doing it?
Ian McKellen?
Ridley Scott.
Oh.
Ridley Scott. This motherfucker he's directing Gladiator 2, which comes out next year.
Okay.
Which stars Denzel Washington. I'm fucking in, by the way.
That's an interesting development.
I'm so the fuck in, right? And some of the old, people are back. Pedro Pascal is also a star in it. I mean, this movie's gonna be this is gonna be a big movie. All right. This motherfucker's 85 years old. And he's making Gladiator 2. He's 85.
There's some actors and actresses and directors and stuff out there doing it big. I mean, Ian McKellen, like I was mentioning, I think he's 92, and he's still doing stage theater on the regular.
Crazy.
At 92.
Yeah.
That shit's insane. So, I mean, there's some out there. They're out there. They're built different. That's for sure. They're built different. But that sounds dope. That's a hell of a starting cast for a Gladiator 2. That's for sure. Did he say that this might be like his last fucking piece or anything? Or is he just like, this is another day in the office?
I'm on his filmography, and he's got a bunch of shit coming out. This guy is going to work until he's dead, man. Like he's even like he's directing a new Alien movie, like an Alien prequel.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So he's got that coming after Gladiator. I mean, this guy is out here still making hits, like making big blockbusters at 85 years old. It's kind of impressive. But we'll see how these movies turn out. Speaking of movies, I did go to the movie theater and I watched Denzel's what's it called there? Fucking somebody's gonna say it in the chat.
I'm unfortunately not gonna be able to help you with this one today.
Denzel Washington. The Equalizer. The Equalizer 3.
The last Equalizer.
Yeah, I saw that. It was good. It was better than the second one. Not quite as good as the first one. And it was fun. It was I felt like they could have taken out about 15 minutes of the movie. But I understand why it was in there.
Mm-hmm.
So like basically the premise of the film is, have you watched any of the Equalizers?
Oh yeah, I've seen them. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
we watched
cool.
And coincidentally we watched Equalizer 2 like fucking a week and a half ago.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So this one, in my opinion, is better than 2. And 2 was okay. Like 2 had Pedro Pascal in it, right? I think he was the big bad guy. Yeah.
Yep.
Which was good. There was more action in 2 than there was in this one. So in this one, I found that the action was there. It was a bit lackluster in terms of how much action you got. Like there was maybe like 3 scenes in the film that really was like, okay, these are big action set pieces. And then there was obviously some killing and different little things that happen sort of in between. But Yeah, it was fun. It was like the premise is he was out. I won't give any spoils, but like he's gone to this place. Something happens to him. He falls in love with this area, this small sort of what we'll call it a town, and the mafia, kind of, or the mob or whatever kind of comes through, and they're really coming down on these small businesses, and they're running drugs through this port type thing, and Denzel's there. He doesn't, he just wants to be left alone type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Is this the retirement story for like?
Well, they don't really talk. There's no real talk about retirement, but you can tell that like he just wants to be in peace, and he doesn't want this shit. So Denzel's character is, basically tells these dudes, in this scene where he's like, hey guys, I'm starting to really like this place. All right, so fuck off, right? Just basically fuck off, or you're gonna fuck around and you're gonna find out, right? And these dudes are like, this fuck is this old fucking black dude, right? Who the fuck is this guy, right? Well, they fucked around and they found out, right? So that's the premise. That's the premise of the film. Which was cool about it. What was cool about it is what's her face is back in the film, in a film with him for the first time since Man on Fire. What's her face? She was a big child star. She was in all those fucking movies.
Oh God!
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Young girl, and then now she's like fucking woman. Like I forget her name. Somebody in chat will say it. But she was in it, so it was cool to see them share the screen again. It was kind of like a throwback, and it's very the movie's like very like Man on Fire. Like whenever Denzel does these types of action movies, it's like it's Denzel.
How philosophical does Denzel Washington get in The Equalizer 3, Mr. Black?
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit. He gets
now,
a little bit.
What are we? Is it
Dakota
general?
Fanning,
is it generalized philosophy, or is it Denzel using another the Equalizer 3 to do another? I need to desperately speak to the young black generation philosophy.
No, there's none of that. There's no
because that was Equalizer 2, right? Equalizer 2 was like that was like his.
There's I don't want to give too much away. There is like a small undertone of a specific issue, but it isn't force fed down your throat, and you really don't even think about it. Like I only really thought about it now that you've kind of.
Oh, I don't have anything because Denzel usually does a pretty good job of not being like. It doesn't feel ham-fisted. Like Equalizer 2 is very specifically a Denzel doing a movie for young black men.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like him just like fucking beating you in the head.
I think he is quite literally the only black person in this movie. Maybe outside of some cops, like there might have been. I don't even think there was any cops that were black. I actually think Denzel, and that was the thing, is he stood out amongst the town because he's the only black dude.
Is it white?
No, it's
or is he just the only black guy?
He's the only black guy. It's more like we'll just say it's more European-ish. It's like more of a.
Okay, I got you.
The people. There is one black. There's a black girl actually, and it's the one that he kind of. But for the most part, there are people of color. But they're not black.
Yeah, okay, I got you. I got you.
You know what I mean? Like,
I thought the way that you were saying it, I was like, is this Denzel going out to like fucking like Midwest America, and all of a sudden it's just white everywhere, and then Denzel?
It's not even in America. It's not even in America.
All right, okay.
Yeah. But no, it was good. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. So I had a certain expectation, and I left the theater going, hey, that was a good time at the movie theaters. It was a solid film, and I mean, it's Denzel. He can act like a motherfucker, right?
Of course.
The script is whatever. The script was kind of like meh, fucking. It was like,
But none of the Equalizers are like fucking banger scripts. It's just
it's like basically it's like the dude that you like there, the Liam Neeson, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you put Denzel in any of these Liam Neeson films, right? He could do what Liam Neeson does, but better, and it would just be better acted, and it would just be but it still works. The
there'd be less jump
great.
cuts.
Exactly. Yeah. But you can tell Denzel's getting older. Like you
of
can
course.
really,
Well, that was my follow-up.
Really
is like,
tell. Yeah.
How believable is this? Is this 68-year-old Liam Neeson doing like another action film, or is this like they still made it quasi believable that Denzel was capable of doing the shit that he's doing?
No, it was capable, but I like how they did it. You know, without getting into too many spoilers, like, you know, Denzel's character is injured for a fair amount of this film, and so, you know, I think maybe they were masking some of his abilities with the fact that, you know, he's not fucking, you know, 40 years old anymore. I think he's probably in his late 60s. And you know, he's still, you know, black don't crack. Like, he still looks like he's, you know, in his 50s, right?
Yeah, of course.
But at the same time, his abilities to like run around and fucking, you know, do whatever, it was very tastefully done on his action sequences that still made it very believable and badass. You know, it was cool. It was cool.
Beautiful. Yeah. I am's gonna want to see that at some point because she's a big Equalizer fan. She's she loves those movies. Yeah, he's 68. That's what I just looked up. 68 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go.
I don't think we watched any movies here really. M's been basically working most of the time, so we didn't really sit down to watch any movies really. Just the typical fucking true crime shit that she constantly has on TV. Yeah, so that's basically it, I guess, for movies and TV, which means it's time to move on to
tech support.
Patreon.com/LikeTV is the place to go if you want to financially support the podcast each and every week. Put up a post. It's called Tech Support, and for $5 or more a month, amongst other things that you may or may not have access to, you can ask us some questions on that post on the Patreon page, and we give you some answers, both here and during StarCraft casting when possible. Let's see what we got this week. Oh, Kevin asks, what company would you like to be an additional sponsor of the podcast, whether because you like the company or you just want to try their stuff for free? Maybe saying it will manifest it into the universe. I don't know. I mean, like, for me, I've never taken sponsorships on my own stuff, typically because the stuff that was available to me were, like, products that I could not possibly believe less in if I tried. And I've never been capable of ignoring the fact that I don't believe in the thing that I'm selling. I'm not like, there's lots of people that can do that. I can't. I feel like I'm literally fleecing people because I'm going to sit there and tell them, like, am I going to sit there, like back in the day when Razer was sponsoring, like, literally fucking everyone under the sun. And their products have gotten better. There's like 2 or 3 of their products now that are pretty reasonable, but back then, no. And so, you know, the opportunity came across my table multiple times, and I was just sitting there like, am I going to be sitting here using a totally different brand on my table and just tell people that they should run out and buy this product because this company is paying me per month just to say that shit? And I've never been able to do that. So there are some companies that I've always wanted to be able to, because they're companies of products that I use. Like that's the dream, right? Like Nord, we both use Nord. That's an easy sell, and I can freely tell other people you're going to have a good experience. It's a good product. If you're in the market for it, that's easy. Boom. No, I don't lay down at night and go, fuck me, I'm fleecing these people out here off the Nord's VPN. No, because the Nord VPN's a fantastic product, and a lot of people are going to get a lot of value out of it. But there aren't that many companies that are doing sponsorships anymore that I'm aware of that are doing sponsorships that we'd even be able to like lock up. But I mean, ultimately, Logitech, it's an easy fucking one.
I just got a new Logitech mouse.
Yeah, there you go. The new 502? New 502?
502 Hero, yeah.
Yeah, so Logitech would be good. Sennheiser was always on my short list if I get Sennheiser as a sponsor for anything. Things like that. I'd consider LG because most of their panel products are really good. A lot of other companies use all of their panels for their things, whether it's a computer monitor or television, things of that nature. There are some companies that would be interesting for sure, but most of the people that are out there doing sponsors or companies that are doing sponsorships right now, a lot of them are just like food related, like their drinks, snacks, stuff like that. Getting other sponsorships for hardware and whatnot, you don't really make money. They typically just want to send you product. And this is regardless of how big you are. Like, you got to be fucking massive before those companies are like, fine, we'll pay you money, but it's not even going to be that much. And so, yeah, I don't know. But those are typically the ones that I would have always wanted to work with. What about you, Mr. Black? Any companies that you haven't?
Ask me the question again.
Basically, like, if you have an additional sponsor for the podcast, whether you like the company or you just want to, be able, like I said, to try their stuff for free. What is there any sponsors that you would have liked to have had that we haven't had before?
For the podcast specifically?
Or just, I guess you could answer that
in general.
Yeah, in general.
I mean, I have a little bit more of a nuanced approach when it comes to sponsors. Like, for one, in the first few years of my career as a streamer and a YouTuber, I would take virtually anything that like, if Razer, for example, wanted to give me a keyboard and mouse and they're like, hey, whatever. Back then I didn't really know and I didn't really care. It was just like, oh my God, like, they got companies that want to work with me. Like, oh, this is fantastic. And then once you start, like, realizing how the industry works and like your value, and then you have options, it changes things a little bit. So for me, like, I get offered sponsorship deals all the time. Like, my email, and I don't even know where people get my email sometimes. Like, it's bizarre, like, some of the things, but it's been nice too, because I've had some, like, I'm doing a pretty big deal right now with Dragonair. That game comes out on the 19th, but they just randomly emailed me. I'm like, I asked them, like, where'd you get my email? They're like, oh, it was on your social media. I was like, oh, okay, well, this shit actually works. Okay, cool. And the way that I look at sponsorships there are certain things that I just won't promote. There just is, because I don't really like the product. So, like, today, if Razer was like, hey, Jeff, like, I'll pay you $2,000 a month.
We're really fucking Razer up right now.
Well, I mean, I don't mind bringing up Razer because I've publicly said before that I'm not a big fan. Yeah. I'm not a big fan, at least of their headsets and stuff. Like, they do have a mouse and keyboard that's very functional, and that works fine. But, like, I just find the quality of Razer just kind of cheap, plasticky, not really there. So, like, if Razer came to me and they're like, hey, Jeff, like, we'll pay you $2,000 a month. I just need you to, have your webcam on, show these Razer products, put your discount code and blast it on social media, etc. I'd probably say no. But I'll be honest, if Razer was like, hey, I'll pay you $5,000 a month, I'm going to take the deal. But the thing is like, what I'll tell them is, I'm not going to wear your headset because I don't like your headsets. Like, I'm using my Sennheisers. I'm not going to promote. For one, I got to wear these and use these all day. And then number two, if I'm not a big fan of your product, I'll be more than happy to promote your keyboard and mouse, or, I don't mind showcasing the things that I enjoy, that I think that there's value in. So that's when I would use a little bit more of a nuance, if they're going to pay a lot. If they're not going to pay a lot, then I'm not even going to bother with that nuance. I'll go hit up Sennheiser and be like, hey, instead of $2,000 a month, how about you pay me $1,000 a month and just give me product? Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna enjoy that product a lot more, and I'm gonna get more use out of it. I'm willing to take that $12,000 a year hit to have maybe $5,000 in product and shit that I'm gonna use forever, and I can confidently say to everybody in the community that, like, this is the best, right? Like, for your money, the bang on your buck, go buy this thing. It's fantastic, right? So yeah, when it comes to, like, energy drinks, things of those natures, it's sort of the same deal. I don't have to absolutely love a product, because at the end of the day, there's going to be people out there that will love the product. Just because I don't like something doesn't necessarily mean, or that I don't love something doesn't necessarily mean that people in the audience aren't going to love it. It's like, I'm willing to take less money if it's something that I love. I'm not getting rich off NordVPN, okay? We're not getting rich off NordVPN, guys. I'm going to be honest. We're not. It's I'm not going to go, but like, I'm grateful.
Yes.
That they continue to support us financially in a way that they can, because at the end of the day, we only offer so much value. We can't ask for $1 bajillion if we're only getting X amount of conversion, right? Yeah. But the thing is we use the product every day. And so why not promote something? Yeah, it might not pay, it might not, it's not paying our bills. You know what I mean? But like it's enough there that like we can feel good about promoting it and feel like we're getting something out of it. But then also we know that they have a fantastic product, like what Adam said, and we can confidently tell people to like, hey, if you're going to get a VPN, this is the one you want to get. So, it's a long-winded answer, but like it really, money talks, right? Money talks. So, Dude, I've been paid, 5 figures from companies to promote. I've had some pretty big deals in my time where the thing that I'm promoting, I like, but I don't love. But it's competent. It's good. But like it's not the best thing out there. But they're going to pay me enough that like, hey, I can't say no to this. So what I'll do is I'll highlight the things that I love, and I won't speak about the products that I don't really like. So that way I'm not lying to people, but I'm like, I'm still promoting the products that I really enjoy. I mean, I was with Corsair and Elgato. They Corsair like bought them out, but like I was with those guys for a while, and there are some Elgato products that I'm not a huge fan of. But there are products like the Steam Deck that I fucking use every day, all the time. They've got a Wave 3. They don't pay me. Like, even still today, they don't pay me now. But like the Wave 3 microphone, fantastic. For the money, it's like, dude, it's a no-brainer. But like, at the end of the day, when I was sponsored by them, I'm not removing my Neumann so I can use an Elgato product. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. This is a fucking Neumann, right? You can't even compare the two. But they have products that I loved, and so I promoted those. So it's all about figuring out your lane. If I could, what I would love to do for this podcast is, I would love for us to get a sponsorship like Logitech, Neumann would be, but like, or Sennheiser, something that like Adam and I, as mid 30-year-old dudes that are a bit hardware audio geeks a little bit, kind of can appreciate sort of the luxury side of hardware. Even like NVIDIA or something where, we might get their high-end graphics cards, and be able to enjoy those things. But Razer, for example, I know we're picking on them, but like Razer can't come to me and be like, guys, we'll pay you, $500 a month. And, nah, bro, it's not enough. No. It's just not enough. I just can't. For me, I got to split this money with Adam. It's like $250. Yeah. It's like, dude,
to show Razer,
to show Razer, that ain't it, right? And I'm, once again, the ones that have Razer products out there are some good stuff. But
Death Adder mouse is good, and
Death Adder mouse is good. They've got a really good keyboard. I think it's called I forget the name of it.
I can't remember.
I used it for a while in my early StarCraft career, and it's still a staple for Razer. Like even Corsair, like I'm still using a Corsair keyboard right now, and this thing is like fucking 8 years old. Still works, but I do need to get a new one. But sponsorship thing, it's always a case by case thing. So hopefully I answer your question.
I think we got there.
Okay.
I think we got there. Mike Hunt, what's the oldest memory you have from being a little kid?
I was actually just thinking about that yesterday. The oldest memory that I have as a kid, I was probably 2 years old, And the reason why it's super weird, but the reason why I remember this is all because of a photo. And it was like when I was looking through a bunch of old baby pictures and like sort of toddler things like that, and I'm going through it, and there's this picture of me on a swing in Dartmouth in the hood. And my dad and my mom are there, but in this picture, my dad is there, and he's pushing me on the swing. And I just vaguely remember being at that park and kind of, like, I don't remember the details, but, like, there's just something that's, like, really, it's hard to explain. Like, I can almost visualize it and see it, but I can't really remember the details. But when I saw the photo, it just hit me. I was like, whoa. I kind of remember this in a roundabout way. So I would say it's like, and I think I was just turning 2 years old, like really fucking young. I don't know, like, it's crazy when I think back to like grade 1, primary, grade 2. I don't remember shit. Nothing. I remember the elementary school. The furthest back I remember was grade 3, and it was because I had broken my collarbone. And I remember going into class with a sling, and everybody was signing it. And I just remember that. But dude, I have a hard time remembering grade 7 and grade 6, grade 7. I remember key moments, like sort of big events that happened, but I don't remember what it was like to wake up as a 12-year-old kid and fucking, like, I don't know. It's bizarre. And the only reason why I've been thinking about it is because my son is 4 years
of course.
old.
Yeah.
And he's experiencing these things. But the crazy thing is I'm gonna remember what he's going through now.
Yeah.
But he won't remember any of this shit 10 years from now, or even probably 5 years from now. It will be like whatever. So it's funny. I was just kind of thinking about that earlier. But I would say I was about 2 years old on a swing, and then from there, I would say the next memory would be like, oh man, might be 6, 7 years old is like
the jump
things
from there.
I can remember. Yeah, it's probably a big jump, 5-year jump.
Man, Mom always makes fun of me for this because, like, my day-to-day memory is terrible, like just awful. Yeah. You could tell me something in the morning and, like, it's gone in, like, a fucking half hour. Like, it's out of sight, out of mind almost immediately. And, but my memory from early childhood is fucking freaky. Like the stuff that I'll remember from different ages and the volume of stuff that I remember, just, it doesn't make any sense. So, like, for example, like, I'll remember around the same age as I would say you were, I was still sitting in a high chair, eating, and Mom was feeding me corn, and I remember eating too much corn and, like, projectile vomiting all over the fucking kitchen floor. Mom was like, "Why would you how you were in a high chair? Why do you remember that?" Like, oddly specific. So I remember that, and I remember not long after that when I was, like, mobile, and Mom and I were upstairs in our old house, and we were going down the stairs, and I slipped, and she went to go grab me, and she slipped, and we were both like sliding down the entire staircase. Both of us slid down so Mom was like fucking sore because she's an adult, just slid down the entire staircase. I'm a toddler, so nothing fucking hurts. So I just, like, ass down every stairs, like, da-ding, 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 da-ding. And I thought it was funny as hell. I thought it was like, I was laughing and giggling. I remember that, and Mom remembers that too, but she was like, I didn't think it was that funny, but you did, but you did. And all sorts of random shit. I remember having a fever when I was really young, and they had one of those, like, plastic little potty things or whatever, so that I didn't have to go to, like, the grown-up bathroom when I had a fever, and them giving me, like, grape Tylenol, and I was using the washroom, like, in the middle of the fucking living room. It was at night. It was just Mom and Dad and I or whatever. But, like, I'll remember all sorts of random fucking shit that I should never in a million years remember. And when you said, like, it's funny about school, I remember my first day of school.
Oh my goodness, I don't.
Like I remember being, I don't remember the whole day, but I remember going there with mom, and I remember like seeing the kids and the whole that whole works, and the peanut butter and crackers and apple juice they served, that they would be shot if they did now, because some kid would die 100%.
Yeah, my son's not even allowed to take anything peanut butter related to school.
Nah, nothing. So, like, I remember that. I remember, like, grade 7. Like, I easily remember a bunch of shit from grade 7 and whatnot. I remember, like, a lot of the teachers and all their personalities and like, how nerve-wracking going into junior high was at the time. Like, I remember all that shit.
I do kind of remember that a little bit.
I remember, like, my first crush in junior high. And the subsequent one, like I remember all sorts, like I got all sorts of fucking like random. But today, you tell me to like take the garbage out, and I'll be like, yep, gone.
Yeah. Whoop, forgot.
Nothing. In and out. So I don't know what happened. I think the internet fucked me. I think all these devices got short-term memory now. Everything's fucking useless. But yeah, just all sorts of memories. But my earliest one, probably the high chair, too much corn. Bad time. Which I also attributed to me not liking corn for the longest time. Like, I wouldn't eat corn.
I love corn. Especially when it's like spicy corn. You get like Cajun corn.
Oh yeah. Corn on the cob. I'm eating all of it.
Dude, when I was in Spain, when I was in Barcelona, the corn there is on another
it's
level.
probably
it's on
wild,
another
bro.
level.
Oh yeah.
It's like I had corn with every meal. Like it was so good. Dude, I could be eating sushi and I'd get a side of corn. It's that good. Like every fucking meal I had, I was eating corn. Fucking delicious, man. There's something in their corn.
Well, I think it's more about something not in their corn. Is probably they're just not nearly as fucking like altered as ours, and it's probably not as like processed.
It even looks different. It's not even like
it's probably a different strain. Like, it's probably a different strain entirely. Like from what we're buying here, like it's probably a different strain. Seth, Marry Fuck Kill Childhood Cartoon Edition, Transformers, Ninja Turtles, He-Man.
I am marrying Ninja Turtles. Easy.
Agreed.
I am. What were the other two? There's Transformers
and He-Man.
I mean, I gotta keep it 100. I'm fucking Transformers and I'm killing He-Man.
I'm saying it's my list, bro. Yeah. I mean, He-Man was good, but Transformers was dope, and Ninja Turtles, man, come on.
Yeah, I mean, Ninja Turtles. I mean, I loved Ninja Turtles. I'm actually happy my son loves Ninja Turtles too, because it's, I can watch that shit with him and I can kind of enjoy it. So I'm like, okay, I fucks with this.
I have, if you ever wanted it for whatever reason, I've got the entire collection of the original Transformers on DVD. And I also have the entire collection of Reboot on DVD.
Ooh, Reboot. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's actually...
It's underrated. That's an underrated show.
Oh my god, that was a Canada banger right there. One of the first like fully 3D animated shows. Banger. Theta, Jeff and Adam, would you ever consider doing StarCraft matches with viewers, which you would then cast later? Probably not, because it would ruin the casting experience. We wouldn't be able to not cold casting at that point.
And it's a logistical fucking nightmare.
Yes, that too.
It's a logistical nightmare. Dude, I don't even take you guys have no idea, and Adam probably doesn't even know this either, but I've had tons of people reach out and just want to pay us to cast their games. I'm like, well, I don't want to venture down that road. I mean, if we do something like a special sort of stream or event where we're raising money for charity, or maybe I don't fucking know, right? Like it's a different story, but we just like to keep things fair, and I know there's people that are on the Patreon and things like that too, and so I'm not really. It's too much. Like to get people, to have people, for one, we don't know who they are, we don't know what they're gonna say, what they're gonna do, which is whatever. We can always delete content if it's fucking awkward or stupid. But like, also, Adam and I, we've got this shit down to a science now, where we've basically block out a 3-hour window every Thursday to get virtually everything that we need done. And then it's just basically, then Mark does all of his editing and stuff for the shorts, and I deal with the uploads and all this other stuff. And, to be frank, guys, like, we ain't making much money off YouTube. Like the majority of our money is coming from Patreon, and yeah, we might make a few $100s a month off YouTube, but like we're paying Mark. It's like, it's really, if our videos were getting a lot more views, which we're hoping that when Stormgate comes out, that like things will pick up a great deal, and then maybe, you know, for sure, if we start making more, we can dedicate more time to this. But ultimately, to have people come out on call with us, and we got to schedule everything and then do live casts, it's just, it'll fuck up the flow. It'll fuck everything up. It's not that we don't want to collaborate with you. It's not that we don't, you know, I really enjoyed when Adam was away and I was doing I think I might have done like 4 or 5 live streams for an hour or two. I really enjoyed that because you guys were there. I could chat with y'all. I could just like shut my brain off a little bit, play some StarCraft, and interact with you. I enjoyed doing it, but it's just, we just have to be realistic, right? Like Adam has got a lot on his plate. I've got a lot on my plate. We're running this bitch the best we can, you know, and we're cranking out the stuff that we can crank out right now.
I actually really like the amount of content and that we've got right now, and how it works. Doing the shorts and stuff in between video releases is really good. And 3 casts a week, I think is great. You're getting a cast every 2 days, basically.
Yep.
And it means that we're not burning through replays incredibly fast. Which is what we did before. That was part of our problem years ago. We don't burn out like we did years ago because we were doing 7 to 10 casts a week back then. And so that was like a different animal entirely. In some instances, doing cold cast marathons, we're doing like fucking 30 games, some fucking stupid amount of casting. So it's like a perfect little thing, and you know, and thanks to the miracles of stuff like OBS and us having done this kind of content for years now, we've got it. Like Jeff said, you know, we can do the podcast, we can do our StarCraft, we can block 3-4 hours out, bang it out. Even if you added the time for Jeff to find the cast and for me to write the podcast, you know, you're looking at 4.5 hours on the high end of total like combined time
per
plus
week.
And then we pay Mark to do the shorts, and so like it's a nice little tight thing. And like Jeff said, if the money started getting better because the views were going up, then like it would be the discussion happens. But for now, this is like perfect. If you guys just up that Patreon like a couple more bucks, you get Nova War Says, and we're just
That'll
fucking humming.
Video. Yeah, then it's like, you know, then
I think you got 4 weeks.
Then you got 4 week. It's just what, and if you don't, you don't. Hey, I mean, it's fine. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a lot more than what we were doing when we were just doing the podcast, right? And we're enjoying it and we're having fun. Yeah. So as long as we're having a good time, I think it translates, and you guys are. And it's like the channel's growing again. You know, we've gone up a couple thousand subscribers. You know, we still are losing subscribers every day as well for the most part. So like, even though we're losing subs, we're still in the net positive because we're getting so many new subs a day. And, you know, it's not like, you know, the thing is StarCraft is such a niche, it's such a niche genre, within a niche genre, here in the gaming sphere that like, yeah, there are YouTube channels out there that does StarCraft that do, you know, 4 or 5 times the numbers that we do, but we're the only ones doing StarCraft for many years, and we realized that we stepped away from StarCraft for a good 4 or 5 years and like really did nothing outside of our odd charity event, and even that we didn't do for several years. So, you know, for us, I think we're growing at a reasonable pace, and we will see what happens when Stormgate comes out, because obviously when Stormgate comes out, there's going to be a lot of people looking to see about the game and learn about the game. And if the game becomes big, and we're first to market and we've already got our niches, and Adam and I already know like the thing, and what's going to end up happening, it's going to be me studying the game, playing the game a lot, and then Adam's just there, and he's going to be, you know, he's going to learn on the fly. Right? And he's going to ask me a bunch of questions.
I'm the color commentator. I represent you at home. That's my role in this whole thing. Well, Jeff is we have an interesting dynamic, which I think is why this works as well as it does, is that in the grand scheme of things, I'm I'm the color commentator that plays the straight man, and you are the analytical because you were the one that plays it, but you play the color commentator. It's a weird dynamic. Like typically the straight man is the analytical side and the color commentator is the color commentator, and that's kind of like the fucking show. But we have this weird hybrid fucking thing where it plays out differently. And I think it ends up making the dynamic
I am the
interesting.
Colored commentator in this duo here.
I'm definitely not. I'm more colored than I was a few months ago, but I'm definitely not colored. Definitely not colored.
Yeah. You are definitely. I will say this, Adam. The older you get, the more you look like your dad. I mean, it is crazy.
Well, losing the hair is not helping.
Yeah, it is crazy, and it's like it's crazy because like you look like your dad when I first met your dad. But like, still
Jesus!
Younger.
Don't say that.
But still younger. Like,
well, yeah, because you met Dad when he was like fucking.
He was like it is late
45 or something. Yeah, 45, 48, somewhere in there.
Because I remember being like 14 years old, 15 years old, and we used to call I used to think your parents were old because like.
Well, they were older because Dad had me when he was 37.
Yeah. So like my parents had me when I was really young. So like when I was 14, we'll say 14 years old. That was like fucking what, 20 something years ago. Yeah. My parents were in their 30s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were in their late 30s, but they were like my age. Like maybe a year or two older. Like my mom might have actually been my age right now.
Yeah.
And so like for me, I would look at your parents and be like, yeah, Adam, your parents are kind of old. Even though they're still young, they were still, they're.
But they were older.
What my parents are now. I mean, my dad is 61.
Yeah. My dad's 72.
My mom's 57. My mom's 57. So,
if dad's 72, that makes mom's 64.
Yeah. The thing is, though, chat, like you guys probably don't know Adam's parents. Well, you don't, but like. They look fantastic for their age too. Like they
look a lot younger than they are.
Oh, big time. Like even today, like when I saw your old man a few months back, I was like, holy shit, man. He still looks like Dan. Like he doesn't look like he looks older, but he doesn't look older. No. You know what I'm saying?
The only reason Dad looks a bit older to me now is only, if I'm over or whatever and he's at the end of the workday working on the house or something, he's getting he's getting out the shower or some shit. He's lost some of his muscle mass finally. Like it finally starts 72. He started to finally. So it's not that he's not got muscle. It's just that he's lost enough where the skin is starting to at the back of his arms and shit.
Yeah,
it's starting to. His forearms are still full, but the back of his biceps starting to get a little looser.
Yeah.
Other than that, Dad to me, if you just gave him, and he's grayer, obviously he's lost like whatever he didn't have. If you gave him a little bit more of like the darker hair that he had maybe like 10 years ago, there is not a really demonstrable fucking difference between Dan at 72 and Dan at 62. This shit's crazy.
It's crazy, bro. Like it's actually crazy. And
I hope I age like that, because if I do, great. But I mean,
you will, bro. You will. Yeah, they got good genes. They got good genes too, man. They're gonna be fucking here until they're 100. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hopefully.
I mean, holy shit! Like,
they gotta see their grandkids. So we're working on that.
You gotta bust you a couple, man. Like, you're gonna end up being 40-something years old and having your first. Bro. You don't want to do that. I'm telling you from experience.
No,
bro, I'm 36, man. My son is 4, and I'm like. I can keep up because I'm still young, but like, I couldn't imagine 10 years from now just having a baby. I'd be like, what the fuck? Because when he turns 12, 13 years old and this kid hits puberty and he's fucking running around and doing some crazy shit. And if I'm fucking 60 years old, there ain't no way I'll be able to keep up with this kid. There ain't a fucking chance in hell, bro.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fucking wild ride. I told myself as long as I'm not as old as Dad was, I'll fucking live.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, I don't know how Dad did it though. Like Dad had me at 37. Mom was 29. Going on 30.
Yeah, your mom was still young, so she's still at that age, right?
It worked,
but your dad, man, like god dang.
Yeah. Well, Dad was married for 11 years before he met Mom, right? Because he had the divorce and then met Mom afterwards, and so like he'd already had a whole married life for fucking 10 years.
Yeah.
Before
so
that
he was
happened.
Like, shit, I guess I got to start a new one. I mean, fucking May as well get started now. Pop one out when I'm in my late 30s.
Yeah, his first wife said, I decided I really don't want kids. And I'm sure in the back of Dad's mind was like, thanks for making sure you wait 10 years.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, bye.
Appreciated.
Yeah, that's kind
of unfortunate, but nevertheless, here we are. Yeah, Dad's crazy. And it's still what amazes me is how much he still just constantly works physically. So like right now, I mean, we spent a whole year here. He was here 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we flipped this place, he went back to his and started tearing down fucking walls and shit immediately by himself. I'm not even there helping him. He's just over there for like 7-8 hours a day doing the shit by himself.
And he's been doing this shit ever since I known him.
Yeah, never stopped.
Dude, when I knew your dad, he was like retiring.
Yes.
From like work. Like he was retired.
He retired when I was in high school.
He's still, this motherfucker's still out here, like 20 years later, still grinding, and he doesn't even have to work. It's like, bro, he's just out there keeping busy.
Maybe that's why he's still. That's the secret. He never stopped.
That's the secret. That's the secret sauce, man. That's the secret sauce.
Never fucking stopped. I've already stopped, and I haven't even hit 40. Like I'm just out here dying, and he's got that dad strength. Gotta fucking work on that action. A little long podcast, but whatever. We got one more question left, and then we gotta move on.
Let's get going, yeah.
Marky Mark, in the early aughts, the early 2000s, the internet was a wildly different place from what it is today. It is, and please take me back. It was way fucking better back then.
It was way better.
What were some of your favorite sites or blogs or webcomics or whatever from that time that aren't around anymore?
I mean, ICQ was my jam. That was my fucking jam. ICQ was great.
Even MSN Messenger, like I would take going back that far. Like,
oh yeah, dude. MSN. That's actually, it's funny enough. Like MSN was like, well, when I got with Kayla, my wife.
You got the email from me.
I got her MSN from Adam because they were friends. So you know, but yeah, ICQ is definitely in my memory. I remember I lived next door to Cameron. And my ex-girlfriend, and they had a computer, and they had
in the kitchen, which was only like 3 fucking square feet anyway.
So small, right? The kitchens were so small in those townhouses. And I remember I would go over Cam's house, and I would sit down on that computer for hours, bro.
Yeah, bro.
And his parents were cool as shit, but like. And it was dial up. So like I was taking a phone line and I would just be on that bitch. I'd just go over there and just use a computer. And then eventually I remember Cam's dad, he reached out to my parents and he was like, yo, you know, you need to get Jeff a computer for Christmas or something because like this motherfucker's coming over my house. He's tying up my line. You know, he's over here all the time. I ain't got it in me to tell him like he can't come over and fucking use our computer all the time.
David had enough. Dave said, bro, "Get him out of here."
He had enough, bro. He reached out, right? And then my dad ended up getting me a computer for Christmas, and then that was it. It was the ICQ, and then I had LimeWire and Napster. Where we would download music and fucking
mostly viruses,
man. Still the funny fucking story, man. Is I remember my dad. I think it was my mom that saw the shit. And there was porn on the computer. Now don't get me wrong, I downloaded porn. When I was 14, 15 years old, like. Pretty much every other fucking teen did, right? And the internet back then was like kind of a new thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was
144p. Still took 14 hours to download.
Yeah.
It's rough out there.
I remember downloading some porn off LimeWire. And I deleted it, right?
Yeah.
I'd gotten rid of it and stuff like that. But I still remember my dad freaking out, right? I guess freaking out's probably because I've seen my dad freak out. This wasn't a freak out, but my dad was upset. Right?
There was some concern.
And what he did is I remember he had called one of his like I don't fucking know. He like I still to this day I really want to ask him about it because like Dad and I are super cool and it was like I know I can ask my dad anything and at this point he'll just tell me what's up, right? We're both grown adults but I fucking remember he had printed out this there was about 3 or 4 sheets of how to like check the browser history, how to like go into the recycle bin, and it was like very basic shit. My dad didn't really understand computers at all. I don't think he still understands them all that well even today. But like he had showed me, he was like, "Yo, Jeff, we got to talk." I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" And he's like, "Yeah, I found porn on the you watching porn?" Right? And I'm like, "No, Dad, no, I ain't watching porn." And I'm like, "Fuck, he found it." And the thing is like I was sure I was deleting everything. So like I
was in the recycling bin the whole time.
Well, here's the thing. I thought I told you this. I could have.
You might have, but you might have, but I'm just not remembering.
Okay. So anyway, there was a bunch of stuff in the recycle bin that like wasn't emptied, and he was like, "Yo, I found all this stuff," and my mom's there, right? And he's like, you're too young. You're too young for this. Like this is for adults. Like you can't. Like, what are you doing? You're not allowed to watch the stuff. If I see this stuff on the computer, he like grounded me for a little bit off the computer. And he was like, if I see this stuff again, then like I'm going to remove the computer or I'm going to make it a rule that you're not allowed on the computer when nobody's home. And the thing was our computer was in the kitchen as well.
It was in the kitchen,
yeah. It was like in the kitchen between the kitchen and the dining room. And the funny thing is when he showed me the stuff that was in the recycle bin, it was none of the stuff that I downloaded. I think that it was stuff that Dad downloaded and the stuff that Dad was watching.
No shot.
And he blamed it on me.
No shot.
But I couldn't say anything because
you gotta ask him that.
And the thing was and it's funny enough is I knew that I had downloaded and watched porn on this computer.
Of course.
But like the stuff that he was showing me, I didn't actually do it. And the thing is I found old pornos and stuff like looking for Christmas gifts in my parents' bedroom, like old VHS tapes buried like in a black garbage bag underneath all these old clothes. Like, and I
remember you finding the proverbial box of porn. I remember you finding that. Yeah,
and because I was looking for Christmas gifts. Because it was like Christmas time, and every kid like goes around the house looking for when Santa doesn't. I better be quiet. But like when Santa isn't real, right?
Oh, of
like,
course.
You're looking. Your parents buy everything, right? So I'm like looking through the house, and lo and behold, that was like my first experience with porno. I was like, what is this? And the thing was the tape, it didn't have any label on it, anything like that. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I put it in there. I'm like, and you want to know what's funny, and I'll leave this. And the funny thing is when I was older, right? I don't even know. I was probably a teenager, might have been in my early 20s. I can't even recall, right? I've watched a lot of porn in my time. But like I remember seeing like on a website or whatever, don't even know which website it was, one of the scenes from that VHS, and it took me right back to when I was when I was like a young teenager.
Wow.
It was like the same. I knew for word, and because they did like the cheesy porno,
of course.
Acting and stuff. I knew word for word the scene. I knew when this guy was gonna bust him a few. I knew the music in the background. I knew everything, bro. And I remember seeing that like as like a late teen or in my early 20s back in the day. So that's a quick little.
That's fucking funny.
Story. I don't even know how I got there, but I got
there.
Well,
it reminds
the PC thing.
Yeah, it reminds me of the time that you were showing me. We were probably 13, 14, and you were showing me the computer's in the same spot in the kitchen. Some porn that you had found, and it was like some crazy shit you'd never seen. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I want to say it was one of what's her face, the girl that fucking deep throated, fucking Heather Eye Deep Throat or whatever.
Heather Eye Deep Throat. Oh, she's
right.
The queen.
Like she's back then it was like that was like the shit everyone talking about,
man.
right?
I wonder if she's still doing a thing today. I might have to Google something later. I wonder if Heather's still out there, man. She's probably got to be like, she's probably in her 50s now. Out there
probably.
I mean, my goodness. Heather, I deep throat.
But I'm pretty sure it was like the first video that she did. Like back, that was like the first one. I'm pretty sure. And it would circulate. All the guys had been talking about it at school or some shit. And you had found it. And you had it. And you're like, Adam, come see this shit, go see this shit. And you didn't even tell me what it was. I had no fucking idea until we sat down at the table. And it was middle of the afternoon. This fucking kid, like sun's out, just fucking whatever, just sitting in the kitchen, Jeff's place, no parents were home, turns it on, just going at it. I mean, in 240p, not even 240p.
There was like 144, bro.
There was 6 pixels on screen. She could have been literally the ugliest person you've ever seen in your life. You would have never fucking known. And so this is on, and Jeff had like the old fucking like Altec Lansing or whatever speakers.
Yes.
On the computer. And because none of the parents were home, he had this shit up. It wasn't blasting, but he had this shit up. And so you're just hearing the Guac 9000 on this shit. And it's like moaning and whatever else and shit, whatnot. And out of nowhere, Miles shows up. And there's a storm door before the inside door.
I remember this.
And the only saving grace is that the storm door and the inside door were closed, so you heard the storm door first. You heard the door
as it was opening.
I
Bro, I so remember that, man. I fucking remember that.
And you were like fucking jamming.
Oh yeah, bro. I was like, get it off. And my dad's coming home. He's like, hey, bud. I'm like, hey.
We were like, hey. Hi! And we were like 50% sure he probably heard that shit and just let it slide. Just like, fuck it, I'm not gonna go near this today. He probably had a long day or some shit. But I just remember hearing the fucking storm door open, and I was like, no, not like this.
Not like this, bro. Not like this. Not today.
Not like this. So I remember that. So that's a funny related story. For me, missing it, Jeff touched on it. ICQ was fucking, for that whole era, ICQ was dope. MSN, if you didn't experience your crush coming online, signing into MSN or ICQ, you didn't live, bro. The shot of fucking adrenaline and fucking like the good vibe that just rushed your whole body from fucking foot to head when your crush came on MSN, and they had and you were looking to see what fancy name they had.
Oh, dude.
See if it was like...
Bro, do you remember what I used to have on mine? Okay, so
you had a few. You had a few different things. Everyone had some their own signature style on MSN. So
funny enough, we should save this stuff for fucking StarCraft.
We're probably gonna. This is a long combo for StarCraft, though. It'd be hard to have.
I don't give a fuck. I'd just pause the game and just fucking talk. But I remember MSN. So my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
We what we did, it was funny you brought up titles, is I would have like my name or whatever. I don't even really recall, but I do remember that I had I love Heart Courtney, which was my ex-girl. I'd have like Heart Courtney times infinity, right? And then she would put Heart Jeff times infinity x2.
Yes.
And then what would happen is, as the time goes on, we would add a number. So who loves who more? And then if something happened between us, she would lower it down so that and that's when I would know she was upset.
Oh,
and
shit.
We would have this thing. It was funny, yeah. And it was funny enough because I had made a song. And I might even still have it on my PC. Let me check here. This is taking me back. And this probably makes no sense to anybody watching at home, but I don't care. I had the song. Let me see here.
I think I still have some of your old stuff, but I think I lost a bunch of it too.
Music. Bro, you should hear some of this new stuff that I have out. It's pretty good.
I've been listening to some of the stuff that you've been doing for
No Pixel.
RP. Yeah, it's dope.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'm trying to find it. I know I have every song I've ever made on this hard drive. So
you
anyway,
should probably cloud storage back that shit up, bro.
Is. Yeah. So funny enough, this song, when we broke up, I was an idiot. But when we broke up, I made a song that never got released, and I never showed it to anybody. The only person I think that may have heard it would have been Trav, because I recorded it at his house.
Yeah.
But the song is called 10 times infinity.
Oh
and that's
my
the song.
God,
And
that's the reference.
The song was made in 2008. So I made that in 2008. It's a long time ago.
Well, yeah, because you started dating in like 2004. Because you were together for 4 years, I think.
Yeah, it was. It might have even been 20. It might have even been 2003.
Yeah. It was at least 4 years. 4 years and change, maybe.
Yeah, 4 years and change. So yeah. So anyway, basically it would be like we would update the username. And that just took me back. I didn't even think about that.
The titles, you'd see like and people have like crazy fucking fonts and shit in the titles. They'd be like copying and pasting from places and whatnot, and you'd like your crush would come on and you were looking for like, because back then status updates were like born from this shit. Your status update was your title. Yep. So a lot of people would have like their name, and then there'd be like their whatever the fuck is going on was like off on the side or whatever the shit. And that was like that was your original status update. And so if your crush came on, you were constantly looking like, what's the status update?
That's it.
Are they saying something like feeling, because if girls would always be doing some feely shit, they'd be like, I'm feeling a little bit in love, or like whatever it was, and you're just constantly digging for the info.
And they knew too, like they knew you were watching. Right, they knew what was up.
It's and like, you couldn't just when they come online, you can't just message right away. You gotta wait.
No, you gotta wait.
Slow play it a little bit.
You gotta slow play it. Make it seem like you're not desperate to like reach out. Like, oh, they're online. Let me do it. And you
set yourself to away for a minute or two. Like you're not even at your PC, and then you come back and like go online. That era.
Yes.
Internet was the Wild West. There was some fucked up shit on the internet, but there was definitely that's the pre-social media.
Crazy,
that's the one right there. If we could pause the internet right there, I'm all about it. That's fucking all about it.
Yeah, nostalgia. Absolutely. This whole podcast has been or this whole tech support has been a nostalgia. Holy shit.
And that's where we're going to end it, because we got to go do some StarCraft before I go and pick up one Miss M from work. And so that's where it's going to be. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed yourselves, had a good time. If you think you got other people that might enjoy the podcast, tell them about it. Send them a link. Spread the good word. And then head on over to patreon.com/LagTV if you want to spend a couple of bucks to take it the next step up and put more milk in my fridge, because I just got back from the grocery store 2 days ago. I also nostalgia for 2007 food prices as well.
Oh man, if we had 2007 food prices, I'd
be a multi-millionaire.
You damn right you would be. You damn right.
And so until we see you next week, guys, stay safe out there. Have a good one. And peace.
Hey.